Welcome to the Fantasy Aceball podcast. This is your host, Tim Kanak. You can find me on X at Fantasy Aceball. And if you are watching on the YouTube, which I recommend, you can watch on YouTube at The Tim Kanak is where you can find me on the YouTube. The Tim Kanak, Kanak is the last name. Same as forwards as backwards. So easy to spell, even though it sounds hard. So The Tim Kanak, you watch, and you can see that I am in full Western getup here because our guest, you can already see if you're watching, is Doc Holiday Dyna on the Twitter at Doc Holiday Dyna. Most of you just know him as Doc. Some of you also know him as Doc Eisenhauer, but you can find him on the Twitter machine. You can find all his stuff over at Scout the Stat Line Dynasty Dingers Pod. What's up, Doc? How you doing?
What's up, Dak? Instead of a carrot, I got a cigar. Yeah, I'm not going to chomp on it too much. Yeah, brother, Doc Holiday Dyna. It's so funny. Like, I'm kind of starting to enter, leagues where there's just like all these Baseball America guys, and then like Doc Holiday Dyna, and I'm like, yeah, I feel like that meme with the one guy's weird and everyone else is cool. It's because I started off the account as like a burner. I thought I was just going to be some guy who I needed to vent my fantasy baseball takes, my 100% accurate, never wrong takes. And then people started realizing how perfect and never wrong they were. And so I was like, oh gosh, now I gotta, okay. So I don't want to change my tag, my handle, because I've seen it seems to be like really annoying when people look up your stuff. So I'm Doc Eisenhauer. You can see I'm not hiding who I am, Darren Eisenhauer, but you can call me Doc because that's way cooler.
Yeah. Well, you created the persona, which is awesome. I love it. You got the little cowboy. You got the whole thing going. I love it. Look at this. See, I love it so much. If you're only listening, you're missing out. I'm wearing a poncho. I don't have a cowboy hat. I've got a straw hat that's a little like a cowboy hat. If you're like, this is my roofing getup. So
okay. I love that.
My roofing getup. All my guys are Mexican roofer guys. I'm in my element here. So
that's great. This is something I haven't really disclosed, and I'll be more promoting it maybe in the coming month or so. But the reason I went with Doc Holiday is I do a little bit of acting and some film and TV work. And so I was playing Doc Holiday in March of 2023. And I think that was like the same month. Maybe I came back or something like that and just started typing about baseball because I don't know why, but yeah, it was just a fresh thing. I was like, I am Doc Holiday, and so I just felt like it was in that zone. And so
you're like Daniel Day-Lewis. You're stating character, Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, and now I'm stuck with it because everyone just knows me as Doc. My co-host Matt Morris called me the other day. We were talking about fantasy baseball the day after my baby had been born last week, and my wife's in the hospital. We were dealing with some drama in one of our fantasy leagues, and I said, all right, wife. So I call her, right? I said, all right, wife, you got to listen to my co-host here. He's got something to say. He's going to justify everything I'm doing. I put him on speakerphone. He says, all right, listen, wife, Doc's a great guy. And just starts calling me Doc. And anyway, we're living out here, but I'm excited to be here, man. We are true baseball fanatics. Super Bowl is happening right now. We don't care.
Yeah.
We don't know about it. We don't even listen.
What?
Spring training is coming up. I don't have time for Super Bowls.
Yeah, that's right. 2 weeks. 2 weeks, baby.
We're dedicated. We're the real ones.
That's for sure. I'm gonna be there. So I'm trying to like hit. This is my goal because I work full time and I work like 80 hours a week because I own 7 businesses. So like I'm always working. But the good thing of me owning all these businesses is that I can kind of do what I want, but I still have a ton of crap happening at the same time. So I don't want to be at games and be like answering the phone and telling people what to do and all that. But anyway, I'm trying to cut time for me to go to like 2 or 3 games every week during spring training. So I'm trying to make it happen. Last year, I went to, I think like 6 games, which over like 4 weeks, it's not terrible, but like I live right here. Like I live in Jupiter. So I've got I'm like 5 minutes from Marlins and Cardinals spring training. I'm like 10 minutes from Nationals and Astros. And I'm like 30 minutes from the Mets. And they're always playing other teams in Florida. So like I can pretty much see everyone. Like I've got on my schedule. I'm trying to see basically every team that does spring training in Florida at least once. That's kind of my goal. I want to see everyone at least once. So we'll see. Spring training is great, especially for prospects, because this is one of the things I noted last year is that I went to a spring training game and James Wood was hitting third in the opening day in like the first inning with all the starters. And it was like all the national starters and then just James Wood there hitting third. And I was like, okay, this dude's going to be up soon. Like they love him, obviously. Like you get little hints like that in spring that if you pay attention to the way that they roll the lineups out and like how many, like who's hitting where and like how many at bats guys get, those are the things really to watch in spring for prospecting and for rookies to kind of get an eye on like, okay, they're serious about this dude. Or like, for instance, if we see Quinn Matthews this year pitching with like the regulars in the lineup, and it's not if it's like a split squad game, he's not with like the AAA guys, he's with the major league guys. There's a hint, right? You're muted.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm not using my mouse, but listen. Okay, now we're losing the crowd here. I 100% agree, man. I mean, I'm a huge prospect guy, but you have to, balance it out and understand that so many of them just aren't going to make it, or it's going to take them a while. It's going to take them a few years. But if you don't play the game, it's hard to win. So people who maybe were out on guys like, people who are maybe suspicious of prospects last year, we're talking about a James Wood, talking about a Wyatt Langford, talking about a Paul Skeens. Remember, man, in our industry, we're a bunch of experts, you go back and look at people's FYPDs, not too often you saw a lot of Paul Skeens 1.1, which frankly, there's a pretty strong argument that he could be, right? I still think Langford's a solid take there. I think he could be. I'm still standing by that. But you didn't even see Skeens at 1.2. We saw some reports after like 2.02 innings or whatever he did. And it's like, oh, maybe the fastball, the shape is a little weird. Bro, if I hear about fastball shape from like from a stud again, I'm just gonna be like, if I think he's a stud, he's a stud. And until further notice, we'll see more than 0.2 innings at least. I love our industry. Got a lot of great guys, but we all kind of bungled that one, I think.
Yeah, I had him at
it's
4.
funny.
I think I was high on him before, actually. Like I was higher than other people. People were dropping him down to like 6, 7, 8, like putting like all the hitters ahead of him. And yeah, he should have been 1. Pretty obviously, in retrospect now, you look back, you're like, what was I thinking? Oh, all because everyone said he had a flat fastball, so now everyone dinged him? Oops. All right, so if you are watching, you can now see that we have a beautiful little spreadsheet up where you can follow along with our rankings. So you can see Doc's 100 through 76, and you can see my 100 through 76. You see some little random colors. Don't worry about that. Just don't. Now, I'm gonna say that everyone's like, "What the hell is with the colors?" The whole time, you'll find out. It's a mystery. So, anyway, we're gonna start at the bottom, just like we did with Welsh last time on the podcast. And number 100, you have Jet Williams. I have Colton Ledbetter. Give us a minute here on Jet Williams, because I've got Jet Williams like in the next tier. I've got him, I think, at like 56 or 57 or something like that. So that's kind of where I had him pre-injury. And I'm the type, Doc, where like I don't like to ding injury guys too much. Like I might push him back 10 spots or whatever. If they're getting Tommy John, they're going to miss a year. I might push him back 20, 25 spots. But like hitters, even like Jefferson Caro, I did not really want to ding him when he got hurt, because I knew that he was a stud before he got hurt. And I'm like, is that really going to affect him? Like his whole, like he was 20 in AA or AAA or whatever. I'm like, is that really going to affect his full career? Maybe not, like ding him 10 spots or something, but I'm not going to, push someone all the way down. So I was pretty high on Jet for a while. Obviously, with Jet, it's a lot about like tools, right? Like great plate skills and tools. Is the hit tool going to develop? What do you think on Jet?
Yeah, so he's one of these guys. He's listed at 5'6". After I heard that Kevin McGonigal might be actually closer to 5'7", and he's listed at 5'10", now I'm just suspicious of any dude who's like in that territory. So Jet Williams is playing regardless. He's listed at best he's 5'6", and even if you don't think that matters, like it seems that managers do think it matters, right? It's just there's not a huge track record of that. I personally am higher on a Caleb Durbin at this point than Jet Williams, because he has those contact skills, and he's got the defense, and he's got the plate, and he's got the plate skills, the approach, and he's going to steal more bases. If you want to look at Jet Williams, the big thing that happened with him this year, if anyone missed it, I used to have him very high, and I agree with you sometimes. Like Andrew Painter, I docked him pretty substantially from my top 10 to like I guess it's not substantially. He was like 20 or top 30 or something like
Yeah.
that at the right after the injury. Because I'm like, dude, it's gonna be a while. I have to give credit to these other rising studs, but I didn't knock him all the way up. Some guys like Christian Scott, he's not on my radar right now. There's just a couple red flags with that, right? Jet Williams is one of those guys. Unfortunately, I knocked him down like 60 spots here, whatever. He was top 30 or 40 for me before. The thing is, this is like one of the worst things to happen to a guy who's already like a little undersized. Wrist injuries, guys. Wrist injuries for batters, I get triggered. I don't like it. And it sapped his power. His power wasn't even really. He was kind of showing a few struggles with the power even before the injury. We 0 home runs in 33 games last year. Yeah, it's a tough one for me. And he started getting a little inefficient with the stolen bases. We saw in the fall league, which was encouraging, 2 home runs. The pitching sucks, but 2 home runs, 7 stolen bases. Still though only a 225 batting average. And again, like maybe we're just seeing him turn from maybe Jose Altuve light, super light, to maybe this really is a utility guy in the vein of a Peyton Ayles or a Caleb Durbin. I frankly, like, again, I think that with Durbin's landing spot of the Brewers, that's a spot where they love that super utility guy where he can get a lot of action. Whereas with the Mets, it's going to be tough. You're going to have the big spotlight on you. I'm not sure if it's going to work out right away. He's still pretty young.
I think he's a dude that will thrive in the spotlight. And the funny thing, too, is you just mentioned Altuve. My comp that I have in my article for him is Jose Altuve build with an Edouard Julien approach, but think maybe like Nico Horner-like stats. So I'm going to give you a little feedback here on Williams versus Durbin. That's actually a pretty decent like kind of comp. But Jet hits the ball at a near 90 average EV. Durbin's is like 83, dude. So like this is where I'm out on Durbin because Durbin reminds me exactly of Ryan Bliss. I liked Ryan Bliss a little bit like coming into last year. I was like, oh, this guy could be, a nice little super util guy, like 10 bombs, 25 steals or something like that. And I think Durbin could do that if he gets full run. I think he's going to end up being a super util guy though. I don't think he's going to be a starter. I think that you're looking at like Terang, Ortiz, and then they've got a bunch of other guys that even if Durbin does start for a little bit, they still have Brock Wilken there at third base who could pop up and, he's got power. So he's probably going to stick if he can actually make the hit tool work. But Durbin's average EVs, 90th percentile EVs concern me. I just get like total Ryan Bliss vibes from him. And so like, I kind of like him as like an accent piece if you're in like a super deep league, but in like 12-team leagues, I'm probably staying away from a dude like Durbin. And I think Jet, even though he's tiny, he just happens to hit the ball really hard. He's got like this like fire hydrant type frame, even though he is 5'6" or whatever. Like he's short and stocky, and he's got this little, like the short stocky guys have this extra power in there. And I think he's got some of that. The main thing for him is he doesn't swing enough. This is the thing that concerns me is his zone swing rate is super low. And that's where I come up with Edouard Julien comp because that dude does not leave the shoulder. It just sits there. And those types of guys who are too patient have issues as far as like batting average. They'll run into like being a low BABIP hitter and they'll just run like 260, 270 BABIPs. Like, why can this guy not get like a normal BABIP? What's going on? And it's just that they're letting too many good pitches pass by in the zone and they're taking a bunch of walks, but they're just not getting the bat off the shoulder.
Just we'll throw it out there that Durbin's actually 10 pounds heavier than Williams, and they had the same max EV last year. So I do know that about Durbin. It's definitely a worthy thing to be concerned about. I don't think Durbin's a slugger, but he's shown that he knows how to drive it in the extra gear and just yank them. And Jet Williams, I think there's less wiggle room for what we're saying here. You got to swing the bat. And Ryan Bliss, I looked at his contact numbers. Like Durbin's a contact freak. Like he runs like almost like 90, I think he's 90 plus zone or something like that, whereas Bliss nothing really quite like there. So I think we're on the same kind of page. Hey, I'm gonna be honest, I comped because they're short guys. It's okay. but yeah. Hey, Jet Williams' dad liked my tweet once. I'm hoping for the kid. I hope for all these guys. Never rooting against them.
Yeah. So number 100 for me, Colton Ledbetter. Power, speed, check. He was a second-round pick last year and kind of came right in hitting as a college guy. I think he's kind of under the radar. Like he's one of like my under the radar favorites. But I think last time you and I spoke, was on your guys' pod, and we talked about how the Rays have like a million dudes. Like they just have such a deep farm that it's easy for someone like that to get lost. But I like Ledbetter a lot. I think that he's one of these guys that could actually get to the, like he could make it happen. He does have this Rays profile though. The Rays get a lot of guys that are like very toolsy, but maybe don't have the best hit tool and they swing and miss a lot. Like Josh Lau, like they like even we're gonna talk about our boy Aiden Smith later, but like a lot of these guys are very toolsy types that maybe don't have the best hit tool and they need to develop the hit tool. That's kind of like where Ledbetter is. You'd like to see him develop that hit tool a little more. Like I comp them to Garrett Mitchell. I think there's a lot of like Garrett Mitchell in there where it's just like a lot of extra base hits, 16 bombs, 34 steals last year for him. It was in high A as a 22-year-old. So, like he was kind of like right there, age to level. You would like to see that translate to like double A before, you go too big on him. But what do you think about Ledbetter?
Yeah, he's one of those guys. Like I got a bit of old school scout in me, and like I see this. Sometimes I see these nice framed redneck boys. I'm like, yeah, all right, come on, rip that ball, bro. And then Colton Ledbetter, I wanted to root for him, but then the opposite thing happened where I see Tampa Bay Rays, and I think we did talk about this. It's like a really weird thing where they obviously know how to develop prospects, but there comes a point where look at Carson Williams right now, where they're just like, what do we make of him? What happened? Where's the body of Curtis Mead? Where's the body? Like this guy went from top prospect to like just a mystery man, and nobody wants him now. I wanted to kill Ross Jensen because we got basically, I think it was like Ethan Salas for Curtis Mead more or less last year, and we could have had it. And I'm like, he just wanted Mead anyway. Colton Ledbetter, he's intriguing. Again, you said it right. Toolsy. He's got that power. He's got that speed. He's not the profile I look for. There's a lot of strikeouts happening there. I want to know what that K percentage looks like. It is looking like he had a 28% strikeout rate at high A as a 22-year-old. Again, that's like fine for it's like he needs to move up to double A next year though, and we're gonna see if he can work on that or maintain that. Even just maintain the 28%. Maybe just work on that approach. The tools will buy him time in development, and Tampa. Hopefully they can work on that. I'm starting to wonder, though, we need to see – we saw some hope. I remember Carson Williams started off really hot last year. It looked like he had made some big strides. And then as the year went on, he just kind of fell apart a little bit. So we'll see what happens.
And Braden Taylor, same thing. Literally the same thing. And we'll talk about him later. So right here, 99, you have Termarr Johnson. We're really close on him. I think I've got him at like 102 or 103. So, like, we're right there on Termarr. I like Termarr still. I think people are giving up on him. It's a prospect fatigue thing, right? Because I mean, like 366 OBP. So yeah, maybe he turns into like a points league type guy, better than like a standard league guy. But 15 bombs, 22 steals last year. That's as a 20-year-old who got up to double A. I think people just have major prospect fatigue on him, and I don't know. Is he like the top Pirates hitter? Do you have Connor Griffin higher or Termarr at this point? Oh, I know you're a Connor Griffin guy, so you probably got Griffin way higher.
My brother in Christ. I have Connor Griffin. Like he could be like a Bobby Witt type. Could be. There's also the possibility he doesn't know how to hit a baseball. Connor Griffin is like, we act like it's a small thing. Yeah, he's got everything. Just like we don't know about that hit tool. And when we say that, we literally mean it. Like, we don't know if it's going to be good or bad. His swing, he looks like he's making big adjustments. He's putting on muscle. Like, I think we're almost scared to make the big comp right now because, there's just like, you don't want to look stupid afterward. But frankly, yeah, that is Griffin's ceiling. We're not going to talk about Griffin right now, but Termarr Johnson is a weird guy, huh? Remember, he came out of the draft. If you don't remember, he was a hit first kind of guy. Steady, safe play at second base, squat, about 5'7", sturdy looking, kind of like a Jet Williamsy
short guy tier.
yeah, exactly. And second base, like it's usually second base is full of guys who either don't have the arm from third or just like aren't cutting it at shortstop. And so to have a guy who knows going to be a second baseman in a shallow position is nice. But it's weird. So he went from a hit first guy to now he's just flash and pop. And the hit tool is again, it actually is very similar to Jet Williams in that. What's up with the contact skills here? We don't really know if that's going to translate. They're kind of getting worse. Like, yeah, he was an A. I'm seeing he was an A ball with an 80. I'm on Colton Ledbetter still. Regardless, he's stealing bases. He's got some pop, lots of fun. I actually wanted to keep him out of my top 100 because, again, prospect fatigue. He's only 20 years old still. We are writing off Termarr Johnson, and I say that because I was about to write him off and just kick him out of my top 100 altogether. We're writing him off too fast. There's time. Maybe he's going to take a little bit longer. They're clearly slow rolling him here. He didn't really seem to be doing that well at AA in 14 games. But again, he was only 20 years old, way young for the level. I think actually right now is a great time to buy Termarr Johnson. Yes. And I say that as a guy who's like, I'm not actually doing that, but maybe I should be. Sometimes this happens on these podcasts. I talk myself into guys.
You know what? This is what makes me laugh. Everybody seems to be so high right now on Cam Collier, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Cam Collier last year at high A hit 248, 355, 443. Termarr this year, 237, 366, 386. Collier had 20 homers, and then Termarr 15 homers and 22 steals. So, like, why is everybody still in on Collier and like cool with Collier and his, bad batting average, but then everyone's just out on Termarr? It's like kind of weird.
It's Pittsburgh Pirates syndrome. Again, I think Connor Griffin would be like going way higher if he wasn't with that team.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so my guy here, Angel Henao. I love this dude. My comp for him is Tommy Edman. 52 extra base hits last year with a 330 batting average, which is insane. 25 steals, 10 homers. So like you got like a little bit of pop. You got a nice speed, middle infielder here. It's the Guardians. So you know how the Guardians are. They love their little, middle infield types. And it's just, they have so many of these guys. The main thing is like, okay, is he going to break through? Hopefully he doesn't become Brian Rocchio. He's 5'9", 150 pounds. So again, short guy tier here, right? But a switch hitter.
He's grown. Oh, I've seen on Baseball Reference. I usually Baseball Reference actually doesn't update it, but I'm seeing 6 foot 165. So someone's lying.
Oh, someone measured him in the morning and someone measured him at nighttime. I don't know. I think he's awesome though. Where do you have Henao ranked?
I got him at 89. We're pretty close on him. It's
right.
There's guys who are a lot higher than both of us on Henao. I'm not sure how to say it, but I believe that he's a scout the stat line darling. This is a guy who's crushing it contact wise. Clegg's got me turning into a contact hound. Sucks. I still like Nolan Gorman, but he won't talk me off of him. But 80 plus contact rates, that's just going to get you going at high A as what was he last year? So he would have been, 20-year-old, whatever. He'll be probably moving his way up to AA this year. This will be a big year. If you can start crushing AA in the same kind of way, that's, folks, if you're unfamiliar with the process, low A and high A are the lower minors. Once you get into AA, you're seeing the batters are seeing just such filthier off-speed stuff, higher heat fastballs. It's a big gap. And so, especially when a young guy goes up at the age 20 or even 21 and crushes it there, that's when you're going to see their stock just explode. So I'm excited. I wish I had more shares. People just seem to like him more than me, and it's understandable. If you can tap into more of that power, again, even 6'1", that kind of says a lot, though, right? If he actually did grow from 5'9", 150 to 6 foot 165 is still like, that's projectable, dude. That's 6 foot. Like, this guy could easily, and that's probably why we're starting to. It's the beginning of helium. I'll say that. If your league doesn't value this guy, is not buying this guy's on your free agent wire, keep an eye on Angel Henao, because it could be a year where you see him blow up.
38 doubles last year. And so like my concern though is near 50% ground ball rate. So like part of me thinks like, okay, we're talking about high A defenses here. So how many of those doubles were just ground balls that like the defense botched, and then he's fast, so he made it to second. So I do have that little bit of a concern because, when you have only 10 homers but 38 doubles, it's kind of like, what's going on here? Especially with this pretty standard line drive rate of 22%. It's not like he's smoking like 30% line drive rate. So we're like Michael Arroyo. So it's like, what's going on here? But it's just interesting. But I think that interesting enough, he made my top 100. Like you said, other people are higher on him, but because of things like that kind of leaves some question marks, which I'm not like willing to like bump him up further at this point. So 98, You have Noble Meyer, which I need to talk you into drafting him higher. And Zaire Hope is who I have here at 98. And I know a lot of people are also super high on Hope. He had a big fall league, yada, yada, you know. So, like, everybody likes to blow up what people do in the fall league against a bunch of crappy pitching. So we'll talk about Hope in a second. But Noble Meyer, I want you to start. I'm going to let you start on Noble Meyer, and then I'm going to convince you why you need to rank Noble Meyer higher.
It's crazy. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here because you have Hope even lower than I do. I think I have him around 70, roughly, maybe a little lower, maybe a little higher. Clearly he's not 75. He's higher than that, so better than that. And then Meyer, I know most people actually have dropped him out of their top 100. And I was tempted to do that, and I felt like, again, with Tamara, I'm looking at reality here. That's stupid because he's a top. He was a top elite arm for a reason. And he didn't just become some old geezer overnight. He just turned 30. He just turned 20 30 days ago. I'm going to repeat that in case anyone is thinking I'm crazy. He turned 20 30 days ago. He's not a 30-year-old prospect who I'm trying to hype up. He's a stud. You know, the Marlins have a bit of a pitching factory. They know what they're doing. 6'5", projectable frame. I was all over him last year, so I'm not just going to completely jump off the ship. I love this kid's brain. He seemed like he's the son of two engineers, I believe. And so he's gone into these he's gone and given these interviews about how he's just really methodical, a surgeon out there. He really wants to learn the analytics of everything. I think what he needs to do is throw the dang ball in the strike zone. I think that's what, maybe we simplify it a little bit, big guy. And, that's where everyone's jumping ship here. They're saying the command is not nearly where it needs to be. Correct. But, he's still generating a ton of strikes, even while not commanding his pitches, which is pretty interesting. And he doesn't seem like he's just some dumb guy chucking the ball, as much as I love my Southern rednecks. This is a guy who's like, he's a thinking pitcher. He's methodical, and I think he's going to go to town on studying his own self and his own game this offseason. I think right now, if you ever believed in Noble Meyer, I'm talking myself into him. You don't have to do it. If you ever believed in Noble Meyer, now's the time to buy. But I have to respect what the other players on my list did in front of him and what he did to set himself back. I think he put himself at 98 for me.
I honestly don't care about Noble Meyer's stats because I've seen him live. And I saw this year because I like I said earlier in the podcast, I'm lucky enough to see a ton of Aceball, which had a lot of good pitchers run through Florida League this year. I saw Quinn Matthews this year. I saw Thomas White, also with the Marlins this year, who everybody jumped ahead of Meyer, which I think is a mistake. I saw George Klassen. I saw Jonah Tong. I saw Michael Kennedy. Every game I went to, and I went to like 25, 30 games, whatever, minor leagues this year, there was a really good pitcher there. And Noble Meyer was the best pitcher that I saw. Better than Quinn Matthews, stuff-wise.
What?
I'm telling
stuff-wise.
you.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can see your argument.
I saw him strike out 11 Yankees, and the Yankees had a pretty good team. They were running out Lombard and Roderick Arias, and they had a bunch of guys on that team. And he struck out 11 of them, and he was just completely dirty. He was hitting high 90s on the fastball, 97, 98. He had a sinker that was like 94, 91 mile per hour sweeper, which was sick, 85, 86 mile per hour slider, changeup, 82, 84 mile per hour changeup. So this guy has like 5-6 pitches that I saw him throw an Aceball. The dude was just ridiculous, and he can command. I'm telling you that I think that the high walk rate might be due to like shitty umpires.
Could it be that? But that's a lot of walks. What's his K9, like 10?
Because I saw him throwing all this stuff exactly where he wanted. I saw him throw all these pitches exactly where he wanted them to end up with no issues. He is a big lanky dude, so maybe there's inconsistencies between starts, but when I saw him, it was just complete fire on all cylinders. All these pitches were phenomenal. And I complimented Logan Gilbert. I was like, this dude can be the next Logan Gilbert. I think that he has command. I think that some of these issues that he had are bad umpires, right? And then a bunch of just not calling called strikes. That's all it is. You know what I mean? It's just like stuff landing in the zone and it doesn't get called a strike when it should be. Because I saw enough Aceball this year to see that happen pretty consistently. Even like Che Win Lin, like with the Cardinals, big Taiwanese pitcher. Like same thing. You know, a lot of fastballs in the zone that should have been strikes that weren't strikes. It's like, okay, whatever. But I'm telling you, Noble Meyer is going to be rocket ship this year. People are sinking him, and he's going to be exactly how people were with Jason Dominguez a couple of years ago, where everyone dropped him in the 70s, whatever, 80s, whatever. I kept him in that top 10, whatever range. And like, I think that people dropping Noble Meyer is a mistake. He's going to be a stud. I watched him. He's going to be a stud.
I'm with you, but 7 walks per 9. Hey, it can't all be the umps, big guy.
I saw him. I trust my.
He crushed it. He crushed it. He crushed it. He actually somehow, with a 6 walks per 9, had a 2.65 ERA in Jupiter. So I get what you saw. It finally caught up to him at high A. But dude, if you believe him again, he just turned 20. How can you jump ship on the guy with this stuff entirely? So I agree with you. And you know what? You're talking me into up in his rank. You're talking me into it.
Good. Okay, Zaire Hope. Everybody's in on him now. I think he's good, but I'm not ready to bump him that high up because he had a really great plate skills, right? He only played 61 games, 9 homers, 9 steals. So you're maybe looking at like a 2020 type guy here. But I don't know if he's going to steal that many bags. Like, I don't know if he's athletic enough to do that. I think that the steals are kind of like a misnomer. And he's maybe just like a better version of Sal Stewart, who you have, and we'll talk about later. But like, I think that that's like maybe his cap is like he's a good hitter. We'll have 20 bombs in there, pretty good plate skills. Like Mike Compton was like a lean Josh Naylor because I think that's kind of the profile that we'll be looking at with him. Dodgers prospects, I tend to ding a little bit just because the Dodgers are like the Rays with their prospects, and they'll just sit around forever. We might not. This guy's 20 right now. We might not see him for 5 years. Who knows? With the Dodgers, like Pages is blocked, rushing is blocked. Like these guys are going to sign all of Team Japan. So when are these Dodgers guys going to actually get a play? You know?
Yeah. No, and so I'm there with you. Like I said, I do have him higher just because I love a lot of what I'm seeing here. You know, a nice thick build. I don't know. I mean, he says he's 5'10", almost 200 pounds at 20 years old. I'm not sure if he'll stay super lean. You know, he's probably going to be, I think, put on some more muscle, great contact skills. I mean, he did a lot of damage and he must have been hurt. He only played 61 games last year. 9 home runs in that and 9 stolen bases in that. What I look for with the stolen bases, folks, I get on this on Dynasty Dingers, the greatest podcast of all time, you know, second to this one. Look, that's the most humble I've ever been on my own podcast when I bring guests on.
It's because I wore the poncho and the hat. So it's like,
yeah,
I'm on your level now. I'm right there on the level.
yeah, that's an alpha dog move. I feel bad. These headphones, I can't put that. Yeah, anyway. What I look for is at higher levels, whether it's high A, but definitely AA and AAA. When you see those caught stealing numbers ticking up, if that is ticking up too much, you're not going to be stealing a whole lot at the major league level because that's inefficient and you're going to lose your green light real quick. So we'll have to monitor that with guys like Zaire Hope and any prospect. So I love the plate skills. I love the potential. Again, what you said is true. It's like a great thing that he's with the Dodgers and a terrible thing that he's with the Dodgers. So I don't want to I feel like I've seen like top 30 ranks for Zaire Hope, so top 20. Like I've seen some crazy stuff.
Fall League. People saw him in the Fall League, and then they got goo over him. They got the little heart eyes in their eyes. Ooh, and then that's it.
Yeah, I mean he didn't even play that well, really. I mean
5 bombs. Yeah, he had 5 bombs.
He struck out a lot against bad pitchers, so he's got work to do. Anyway, I'll crown him when I see the potential, so I'm willing to give him like that 70-ish rank. That was non-debuted, but still 70-ish rank. And so yeah, I would say that prove it. You know, show us some more, and we're going to see that with other names here that other maybe industry folks have already crowned as like a top overall prospect almost, or in some cases actually the number 1 prospect.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna go here. I already know who you're referencing in there. We're gonna talk about them. So what we're gonna do, because we're going kind of long on some of these guys, we're gonna speed the pace up here. So 97, you have Kyle Teal, White Sox catcher now. I have Yalin Cespedes, who had a phenomenal year in complex and A-ball. I like Cespedes a lot. I like Cespedes so much that as a Cardinals fan, I'm like, okay, if you trade Arenado, I want Cespedes. You're not going to get one of those top guys. So like Cespedes is like the one guy. Everyone's like, oh, Blaze Jordan. I'm like, I don't want Blaze Jordan.
No. Yeah.
So he had a 163 WRC plus at Complex. I think he got hurt, which is why he didn't. Yeah, exactly. Broken hamate bone. So there you go. There's another one of those injuries that you hate for hitters. But the good thing is that he has the offseason for that to kind of get fixed, because usually hamate thing is like something that'll affect you for the rest of the season when you break that bone. But then in the offseason, you have enough time for it to heal. Once you start like getting impact again, bat the ball, like it's not as big of a deal. But the dude was a beast. And I'm just going to leave it at that. And then Teal, I'll let you talk about Teal for a second.
Yeah, I'll try to be super speedy here. I do like Cespedes, just for the record. I think he's a great buy right now. He was skyrocketing, and then people forgot about him because he got hurt. Teal, oh gosh, he was my Jason Varitek comp. Boring, but counting stats for days. Well, say goodbye to the counting stats as far as we can see right now with Chicago, unless the two Montgomerys are their saviors, the Montgomery twins. But yeah, it's going to be tough out there. He's going to be a solid real life catcher. I dropped him so far down my rankings because of the trade.
So we talked about Edgar Carroll last pod, Welsh and I asked what he thought was going to happen with this whole situation, and his thoughts, and I agree with him, is that Carroll is probably going to get the majority of the reps at catcher, like as the starting catcher. Teal will be the backup, and then because he's more athletic, he'll probably move around the diamond a little more and get at bats because he also has a better hit tool. So he'll probably get at bats in other spots. And then Caro has also had, and this is one of the points that Welsh has made, is that they purposely had him as the backstop for like all their pitchers. So like he was catching Thorpe last year and Burke and like all these guys who are going to be their pitchers now this year are all guys that he was catching. So he already has familiarity with the pitching staff. So it makes kind of, a good amount of sense that Caro would probably be first up between the two of Caro and Teal, and that he might get the majority of the catcher workload. Maybe it's like a 60-40 thing, but I think Teal is also, he has the ability to play other positions where Caro might not. So he might actually end up with more at bats still, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Caro has some back issues, nothing major, but he has some back problems. And from what I understand, he's not completely polished as a defensive backstop. So I actually do expect the opposite to happen. But your point about Caro getting to know the pitchers, that's a great point. Something to watch out for.
96. I have Cade Horton. He's been around forever. Kind of boring. Kind of hurt. So we'll see. I'm not going to say anything else. He's a good pitcher, but he's hurt, and we'll see what happens. Luke, you have Luke Dickerson. This is a name that I wanted to talk about because he was a second-round pick, and he hasn't played yet. And I believe that he was I might be wrong here, but wasn't he the highest paid second round player like of all time or something like that when he was picked?
Yeah, dude. No attention. Don't look over here. If he was a Yankee prospect, he'd be friggin' top 50 already. So just without getting into, again, being super fast about it, Cade Horton, you just did what I did to Jet Williams, by the way. And we all have our guys, right? And so and maybe it's worth it, but Cade Horton for me is a buy everywhere. He was a top pitching prospect for me last year. He didn't have TJ. He's going to come back and be fine. So why would I have him outside of my top 30? I can't. And so I'm buying him everywhere, getting him everywhere. Cheap.
F scores like him, just so you know. At my F scores, give him a 105 stuff, 106 control, and
bump him up
FERA. So they like him. So my concern is the injuries. And then Clegg keeps talking about it too, that apparently like even in the clubhouse, they like I guess he knows some Cubs people or whatever, and they've got concerns about him holding up over there too. So I'm like, my main thing for him is injuries, at this point. But
yeah, Clegg knows his ball, but there's some guys. I heard that episode, and I was like, punching air. I was punching air about it. The Luke Dickerson. So, this was kind of it started off with putting him 99th out of 100 non-debut because I had to give DDLS, Davison de Los Santos, the number 100 because he did blast like 100 bombs last year. But frankly, I just don't get excited about him. So it was like a middle finger, like against I don't believe in this guy, but I have to respect him. Luke Dickerson, I had 99th, and since then I'm like, no, I'm more excited about owning him than Teal or Meyer or Tamar at this point, to be honest. He broke or tied Mike Trout's New Jersey home run record. That's pretty cool. He got, as you said, a ridiculous signing bonus. Signing bonuses are like what I love. Caleb Bonham is another he got a $3 million signing bonus. These prep guys who we don't have anything on, right? We just have to kind of take the scout's word for it. I see a well-rounded guy. I look at his body. which sounds terrible. I'm looking at his, no, but you have to look at what he's physically made of. He kind of looks, his face looks like Mike Trout. It's ridiculous. It's like a New Jersey phenotype or something like that. But the kid like
Inbreeding.
he just. Yeah, something. Well, it's whatever they're doing, keep doing it, because this kid seems like a stud. I was watching some film. I'm like, I'm not seeing holes here. I'm not seeing holes in the game. And I listen to interviews. I'm like, I like his IQ. I like his makeup. It's like, we can do some scouting here in 2025, folks. The technology's out there. So he's my flag plant. I put a couple of guys here last year at the end of my top 100. One of them was Blake Walters, who's going to take a little bit longer in Kansas City. One of them was Travis Sikora. So that seems to be working out, right? Some guys who I just kind of did a little bit extra digging on. It's tough. You don't have the data, or you have data. It's like, yeah, you hit 700 against his high school teammates. You're like, I don't know what that means. Connor Griffin stole 300 bases. Okay, what? So yeah, Luke Dickerson, folks. That's a flag plant. I actually have him pretty high. I'm going to be dropping a FYPD primer tomorrow, which will probably be like actually before this even gets dropped. So check it out if you missed it, because I got Luke Dickerson pretty high. I think above Ryan Sloan.
I like it. It's ballsy. I wouldn't do it, but I like it. I'll tell you that. 95. You've got Jonah Tong. I've got Owen Wild. I have Jonah Tong at like 151, so I'm a bit lower on him. Command-wise, again, the dude's command, it's just, I don't know. It's not there. I saw him. I saw George Klassen. They both have really good stuff, but like they just have no idea where the hell the ball is going, I feel like, when they throw it. So that's my main concern with Jonah Tong is just command. I think he's a reliever long term, but who knows? Maybe he fixes it. Like he's still young enough that it's a possibility that he fixes it. He moved a lot of levels. I love that. He moved a ton of levels. He went from A to high A to double A. And like, when I saw him too, 7.4 walk rate in Aceball, insane CSW, but like, he just chucked it. And it was like, this guy's a thrower, not a pitcher right now. And I got the same thing with Klassen when I saw Klassen. So I'm like, okay, that's my concern on Tong. My F scores gave him like an 83 control, which is terrible. That means you're going to be a reliever. That's like Joe Boyle territory. So I'll just say that there. My pitcher, Owen Wild. I think we talked about him for a second on your podcast, but I love Owen Wild for these Rays guys. Like him and Baumeister. I've got Baumeister slightly higher, but Wild, great stuff. Scores are 105 stuff, 101 control, 108 ERA. My comp from is a Joe Ryan, Nick Pivetta mashup. 16.6% swing strike rate for Owen Wild last year, which is only a 27.8% CSW. So again, the minor league umps just miss stuff. Like, how does that happen? You never see someone with a near 17% swing strike rate, only a 10% called strike rate, when the dude doesn't walk people on top of it. So it's like, what is the issue there? How can you not walk people, but still only have a 10% called strike rate? It doesn't make sense. Something 1 + 1 is not equaling 2 in this instance, in my opinion. So I love Owen Wild. I think there's a lot of room there for growth. I think that the stuff is real. I think that the CSW is going to go up because I think he's going to get more strikeouts because he's going to get called strikes at higher levels where you have better umpires. That's just my thought. At least at AA, until he gets to AAA, and then he's going to have ABS and robots messing him up. Different story there.
Yeah, so I actually need to get Owen. Owen Wild is on my radar. Just a 230-man startups for our Scout the Stat Line subscribers. So when you do that, guys like Owen Wild start popping up on your radar. And yeah, I kind of wish I had a share of him. In fact, I'm going to see if I can get him in other leagues in fact, I'm drafting right now. Maybe I'll do a little research after this. But I love it. And, you're talking about called strikes and, these umpires. Yeah, the cream of the crop rises to the top. And I'm looking at the numbers, the strikes per 9. I'm old school. I like to do strikes per 9 and walks per 9 because it looks cooler to me. So that's what you're going to get here with Doc Holiday Dyna.
He also has a cowboy name. Owen Wild is a total cowboy
name.
Oh,
yeah. Sorry. I meant to start off with 60 grade name, maybe even 65. 60 raw name. Whatever. 65 future. But 230. He's a thick boy. I actually love durability and sliding into Jonah Tong. That's I don't like about him is he's got a slight frame. But I think the last time you must have seen Jonah Tong was 2023, man. Because if you look, the total. So he had the ridiculous 16 K9 in 2023 with the equally ridiculous 9 basically K9 same. Walks per 9 same year 9.4. That's insane, dude. He cut it in half. He cut it more in half. In fact, so at low A this year he he went from below A last year, 9.7 walks per nine, to 2.4 this year. And that got him a promotion to high A, where he had 4 walks per nine, and double A in only 9 innings, but he had 3.9 walks, and the K stayed the same. So he actually, I want you to maybe take note of Jonah Tong. The industry, again, they were really goo gaga over him, and then the walks got out of control, but they're under control. Like, the one problem is getting fixed right now. Again, I'm a little bit concerned about the frame. A little bit of like maybe, I think 180 is not tiny, but 6'1", 180, it's kind of almost Tink Hensey sort of deal. We'll see how that's actually my bigger concern. I'm actually super impressed. This must be a smart kid to go from a complete Riley Pint, like, terrible command seriously to like, oh, this is actually fine. Like, this is pretty good. And now you're also, how old is he? Because he went to double A.
He's going to be 22 next year.
So
probably
yeah,
he'll start out in double A as a 22-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, he's 21 right now, and he's yeah. So I'm actually, it's a guy who actually it wasn't my guy or anything, but I'm looking at the numbers. I'm like, I'm excited.
I just hope they don't send him to AAA, because all the Mets starters that they send to AAA do terribly there. Blade Tidwell was awesome, went to AAA. Even Sprout struggled at AAA, I believe. So Mets AAA, don't pitch, don't send the pitchers, just skip it. Be the Braves, send them straight to the majors. That's what I say. 94. You have Blake Mitchell, who I had in the last podcast, and Welsh also had him like right in the same range as me, around like 120 or something like that. So we were kind of like right in the same spot on Blake Mitchell. We talked a lot about him, so I don't want to go too much into him in this one. Aiden Smith, we also talked about in the last pod, because Welsh had at 150, and I'm like, what are you doing here, Aiden Smith? Yeah, I know you have Aiden Smith like 30 or something, don't you? I have got him 36. In 94. Yes, 36. I've got him in 94. That's a total flag plant for you there. I love him a lot, but I'm like, okay, he's still in A-ball. Like, I want to see this at advanced levels before I bump him up more. But what is not to like about 45 extra base hits, 11 bombs, 41 steals, 400 OBP, 33 doubles last year. Like, the dude was phenomenal last year. And I just want to see it at higher levels before I bump him too much higher. But like, I love that you got really aggressive on him here. And the other thing for me with Rays, again, like I said, Dodgers, Rays prospects, it's like we have so many of these types of guys that they can just get buried. Aranda, Michael Bush, it's like, come on, please. Even Josh Lau took forever to like finally debut. You're like, when is Lau? Like, if you were watching Lau at the time, you're like, when is Lau going to finally play? And then now it's like, okay, they signed Kim to block Carson Williams. It's like, they do not want their prospects to play. They traded Manzardo. So it's like, what's going to happen? You know, like, they like to grow guys and then like not play them. They will develop them. They'll grow them and develop them, except for the pitchers. The pitchers, they'll let fly. But the hitters, no, they'll just keep them in the minor leagues and then trade them. They make them look really good and shiny, and then they trade them for something at some point.
So I'm seeing 6'2", 190. Like, name the perfect baseball frame. You know, like, that's kind of it, right? And you know, when he came out of the draft, I was just excited when I see things like he's Texas's #1 prep hitter. I'm like, dang, I love Texas hitters, and again, old school kind of thought. And prep is like risky because again, we don't have that frame of work, but it's also where you're going to find some great pop-ups and great values in FYPDs. And that was what Aiden Smith was for me last year. And if anything, last year we always saw this, like, is the contact really going to play up? Because he seems like he's really fast and he's got projectable strength. And we are seeing that he had last year when he went to Tampa had about an 80%. He jumped from the entirety of 2023 at a 65 contact rate, terrible, to 75 last year, but with Tampa, it went up almost to 80% contact rate, which is pretty exciting. Again, yeah, we do have to see him. I thought he had gone up to high A, to be honest, but he was, he was still relatively young. I guess they're going to take their time with him. This is the time where I have no problem with him being with Tampa. I don't want him to be in Tampa when he gets up to like AA, AAA. Trade him by then, like get him out of there so he can play baseball. But I mean, 41 stolen bases last year. Again, we're going to have to see how this goes. If he can keep up anything close to that without getting caught stolen too much at higher levels, that's very exciting. I think, frankly, the upside here is something like 25 home runs, like 35 stolen bases upside with like a good hit tool and good plate skills. Like that's the peak outcome kind of here, which is a star, which is a superstar. So which is I'm going to say that again. That's actually not a star. That's a superstar. That's like a serious dynasty asset. And that's why I'm going out on a limb here. Again, like I said, Zahir Hope, I need to see a little bit more. With Smith, I'm just like, bro, I'm not seeing the weaknesses, and I don't think that Tampa's going to hold him down as much. Frankly, you can make an argument why Tampa's holding, Carson Williams down. His hit tool sucks.
Yeah.
So it's like it's annoying, but I'm actually not as confused as other people. It's frustrating because like just get your hit tool fixed, just fix the hardest thing to fix. And then folks, that's why I go with hit tools. So when you see 80% contact rates from Aiden Smith, that's why I'm big on him. Maybe maybe I should. So clearly I have a type here. And who's our other guy here? What the heck? Where are we here? Aiden Smith and Blake Mitchell. Do you want me to get into him?
Oh, we already talked about
it.
Blake Mitchell last podcast. We'll move to the next guys. We have Drake Baldwin next at 93, another catcher. I have Drake Baldwin here at 88, so we're super close on Drake Baldwin. He's going to come up this year. He's going to be the backup basically until Sean Murphy gets hurt, and then he'll come in for Sean Murphy when he gets hurt. Hopefully not. But I have here Thomas White. I know, like I mentioned earlier, everybody is really high on Thomas White, and everyone's really down on Noble Meyer. Thomas White, I also saw live this year. 3-pitch guy. So big lefty. Gotta love that he's a lefty, but 3-pitch guy only. And when I saw Noble Meyer versus Thomas White, Noble Meyer attacked the zone a lot more. I just think Meyer's going to be better. White throws 95, 97 on the fastball, which is great for a lefty. His slider is more like a slurve. It's super loopy. That thing is, I don't know how it's designated as a slider, because when I saw him, he was throwing it between 78 to 82 miles per hour. And it's just like a super loopy, curvy slider. Like like that thing is a slurve. That's like an old school slurve. And then he's got a changeup, 85 to 87 mile per hour changeup. This is my concern with Thomas White. He's going to hit higher levels, and that slurve is not going to play up. Just like the big loopy curveballs get rocked at higher levels when these guys start getting promoted, that thing will play low down. Like those big loopy breaking balls will play in the lower minors. But once you get back up to the higher minors, it doesn't play so well. And he's going to become like a fastball changeup guy with just this loopy thing that he's going to have to develop another pitch. So that's my concern on him, because like the fastball and the changeup will definitely play. But that slurve is like, it looked cool because it's like this big loopy thing. So it looked cool sitting behind home plate and seeing guys miss on that thing. But I don't think that guys are going to be missing that in AA and AAA. It's just like a ball thing.
Yeah. So because I'm like the number one Thomas White guy in the entire industry, briefly touching on just the other two real quick, like literally just hyperspeed. Blake Mitchell, actually, I'm not sure if it's between Carter Jensen and Blake Mitchell. My money is on Mitchell being a little bit more athletic and coming back out to maybe outfield or third base. For the Royals, I think he's interesting. Could have frankly, like a 2020 upside, which is how's that even going to play at catcher? Who knows, right? Drake Baldwin's like a boring guy nobody wants to hype up, but certainly you need to have him on your radar. Like he could be the Braves starting catcher by the end of next year. Like that's kind of a big thing. We should definitely have him on top 100 lists. He's not on every top 100 list. Thomas White's my number 13 non-debut prospect guy. He's like, so I was big on both him and Noble Meyer. I'm big on studying the signing bonuses and what teams are putting their money where their mouth is. And their signing bonus was almost equal. So even though Thomas White was a comp pick, late first, like basically like almost a second round pick essentially, they value him. They already valued him off the top pretty similarly. And this guy was a 14-year-old prodigy, cold weather arm out in Massachusetts. And he kind of got his hype killed by COVID and all that stuff. Right. So, he was blasting, I think mid 90s. He had a fastball when he was 14 years old and somehow hasn't blown his arm out. And now he's 6'5" and, put some meat on those bones. We'll see what happens. Maybe this becomes, I think he can touch triple digits. I think he can get at least to 99. From the left, with a lefty delivery, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. It's fun. And he's doing everything that, like the first year in their little mini pro debut after they're getting drafted, they both had command issues. Having like 10 walks per 9 or whatever. Who cares? It's just a little snippet. But White went the other way with it. Came out at low A with a 4.5 walks per 9. High A, 3 walks per 9. Still held that 11 K9. I'm intrigued not intrigued. I'm listening to what you're saying about his pitch mix, but he seems like when I hear him talk, And when I just know, when I can just see that he's getting better, whenever I see a player, batter or pitcher, improve from a lower level to a higher level, other than PCL hitters in AAA, I take note. That's the Basayo effect, right? It's like, oh, you're getting better with higher competition. Okay, let's dig in here. So I think he's got it in him. Maybe if he runs into those issues you're talking about, I think he'll figure it out. And maybe we have a fun situation where he can maybe tighten it up. Maybe he can do something where he can tighten it up into a real slider when he wants to, and more of a sweeper, when he wants to. In fact, I've heard it described as a curveball more than anything. So
it definitely looks like a curveball. That's why I said like it's rated as a slider, but it looks way more like a curve, and it's like super loopy. That's why when I was watching it behind home plate, I was like, "Holy shit, is that a slurve?" Like I was like, I haven't seen one of those in a while.
But, so if he can maybe turn that into something he tweaks with good command, that's scary. Maybe it could go from a downside to an upside, but certainly worth keeping an eye on.
I did read though. I did read somewhere or hear somewhere that he was trying to apparently develop a different, like a gyro slider or like a cutter, like something like that just breaks a lot more, because that thing is just so slow and loopy. Like I just think at the higher level is going to get rocked. Like right now, he just reminds me of like a lefty Chris Paddock, like coming up through the Marlin system, like looking fire or whatever. But it's all like fastball changeup, and that doesn't really play at the higher levels. So like that's just my thought on it. But I saw all these guys live, and I'm like, okay, I know like from my eyes, like what was fire and like what needs some work. And that's just my thought process on him. Like I said, the fastball changeup will definitely play there. And if he develops another pitch, then there's more in there. Number 92, got to make some quick work here. You've got Cooper Pratt. I've got Pratt in like the 60s. I love Cooper Pratt. I know the stats aren't really there to back that up, but he's like a 6'5" shortstop. And there's a lot more power that is going to show. I've got Jefferson Caro at 92, another catcher, right? Catchers all over the place. Caro missed all of 2024. He had like one at bat and like got hurt for the whole season, but he was really good as a 20-year-old at AA. So I think Jefferson Caro is a nice name to watch for the Brewers. Probably like a 20 homer guy. And then what do you have real quick here on Cooper Pratt?
So I can be quick with both guys. Pratt is a guy, actually, I'm like, I just don't, again, statistically, I don't really see it. I see the frame. It's super fun. I'm trusting the scouts on this one. And I can see where the speed's coming in there. And so the speed is there. The approach, he actually has good contact skills despite the terrible the ratios. So I can see that there's something to tap into here. The Brewers are a great org, and that's something I would have maybe added on Thomas White. That's the org you want him to be in with Florida. And so here with Pratt, I'm just trusting the situation. But I still have a hard time giving him a higher rank than this right now. I could maybe argue him over Braden Taylor because I got some concerns we'll get into. Jefferson Cuero, I don't see the appeal, brother. He's so boring to me. He's so boring. What's this guy? Is this going to be the other? He's going to be a catcher. He gives you like 230, 310, OBP, and 20 homers. It's like, okay, we have those at home. We have whatever, man. So he doesn't excite me. Excites everyone else. He's probably got some good defensive capabilities because I'm not.
To me, he rates out as just like a league average catcher. Like he's going to be a guy who starts he should be a starting catcher, like solid starting catcher. He has 20 homer power if he plays the whole season. That's just why, there's nothing exciting there. He's not going to steal bags and stuff like Carter Jensen or hit 30 bomb potential like Blake Mitchell. But there's a good catcher in there. He's got a decent pretty solid plate approach. And the main thing is he was doing that as a 20-year-old at AA. So age to level wise, you got to give it, especially for a catcher, you got to give it a guy like that a bit of a bump. Who knows what he would have done if he had a full year this last year. That he might have made.
He's 20. He is 22 years old now.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Exactly. Next, guys, we got Braden Taylor here for you at 91. I've got Braden Taylor in the 50s. And then I've got Jackson Baumeister here. Braden Taylor, we just talked about a bunch of these Rays guys, kind of similar, like great plate approach, good power speed, bad hit tool. He's basically Carson Williams at second and third base, more or less, and older than Carson Williams and less good defensively. So there we go. Jackson Baumeister, major strides. This is a dude, when he was with the Orioles, he was like, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to make it. And then right when he comes over to the Rays in 29 innings, He has a 37.1 K minus walk, 14.8 swinging strike, 33% CSW, 124 ERA, and a 0.59 whip in his time with the Rays. The Rays are known for fixing players. Whatever they did with Jackson Baumeister it looks like this guy is a completely different pitcher now. And this guy is a big mover. And I think, where do you have him? I know you're super high on him too. So
I'm the Jackson Baumeister guy. He's like 43 or something. Like he's top 50. Yeah, I don't think he was actually struggling immensely with the Orioles this year. But here's what I took. I immediately wrote his name down when I saw that Mike Elias out of Baltimore Orioles organization spent the highest pick he ever spent on a pitcher on Baumeister. And he basically, and I looked at his numbers. I didn't get it, right? I was like, his college numbers sucked. He wasn't good. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm buying, because if he's doing that and his numbers suck, that means his stuff is amazing. And there's something to unlock here. And he's big bodied, I think he's 6'4", 225 or something like that. And I think that's exactly his measurables. And so he comes out and he started blasting. I think he had like a 5 walk per 9 this year with the Orioles. And then the trade just completely became a command master all of a sudden. Again, like you said, something like 2 walks per 9. I'm just super excited for him. I think the future, this is going to be our next, like Thomas White, Travis Sikora. Sikora got all the flowers this year, and I love Sikora so much. Do you have? Yes, you have him. Great. We'll talk about him later. But Baumeister and White doing it at higher levels. Now Baumeister's a little bit older than these kids, so he needs to keep doing it. And if he does it at Double A this year, I'm getting ahead of the curve. And basically, that's what I'm doing with my ranking. I'm saying, guys, go out and get Baumeister now while he's not that expensive, because he's about to be. I'm really, really confident in Baumeister, barring injury. And goodness gracious, what's up with your eyes? I mean, how do you see these things? I don't have my glasses on. But yeah, Braden Taylor, yeah, just real quick. I think you said it. Carson Williams. His contact rate went to 65 at Double A, but yeah, we'll see. His tools are so much fun. I had him so much higher, but then I just saw so many red flags popping up. I'm a little bit scared for him. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. My F scores for Braden Taylor. He's got an 85 contact, 108 discipline, 105 power, 173 speed. So that's pretty atrocious. 85 contact. That's like not a major leaguer. If he doesn't fix that hit tool, that dude is just not going to make it, because he's going to be hitting like 180 or 200 or something. Next guys we have here at 90, Enrique Bradfield Jr., Thomas Sajaci, because we're already at an hour and we're only 90. We're going to fly here. Thomas Sajaci, I think he's going to be a super util guy for the Cardinals this year. Maybe he goes like 12-12 or something, 12-10 or 15-10 or something like that, just moving around between second, short, and third. Nice little player here. I don't think he's going to be like a big, like if you're in a deep league and you need like someone who can move around and change positions and stuff like that, he's going to be pretty good for you. But like, unless you're in a deep league, I don't know if there's much there for Sajaci, because I think he's like a 270, 280 guy, even though I know he hit like 330 or something in Double A. I don't think that's really there. I think he's like a 270, 280 hitter. He's basically going to just do what Brandon Donovan did, more or less. So if you want like Brandon Donovan 2.0, there you go. And then you have Enrique Bradfield Jr., who insane speed. I have him at like 160 or something, because I just don't like rabbit types really. And also because Orioles have like a million guys. And I'm just like, okay, he needs to be traded or else he's just never going to play. Or he's going to be like a 5th outfielder, because the Orioles can't even find room for Kobe Mayo. So how are they going to find room for Bradfield?
Yeah, Bradfield, elite, pretty solid defense. I can't argue. He seems like he's a really solid hitter. It's a guy where he wasn't my guy, but I'm like, I respect you. If you can give us 50 stolen bases one day, then we're going to play this, then that's going to play. We'll see. He's only 90th. So it's like, he's got to work his way up from there. Sajaci, I think you pretty much nailed it. It's going to be, but I think it's going to be he'll be like the perfect, like you have to roster him, but he's boring. So maybe that is Donovan. Like, I think more of like 18 home runs, 13 stolen bases. Like, gosh, I hate that. That's kind of good. 271 batting average, and 329 OBP. We're like, gosh, who is this guy? And he got, dude, no gloves, no batting gloves.
Like Matt
Carpenter.
Yeah,
I saw that he had no batting gloves, and immediately he went up 100 ranks. That's my
I know.
guy.
He just doesn't have the cowboy name. He's missing the name. Thomas Sajaci. Get out of here with
that. That's a spaghetti western, brother.
Yeah, spaghetti western, exactly. 89 and Angel Hanao. We already talked about him. Edgar Caro. We already talked about the other Caro. Edgar Caro's got like the better same version. I think we already talked enough about
Yeah.
Carolina now. So we'll just skip over to 88. You got Thomas Harrington here. I have Thomas Harrington. I think is my 101. So we're really close on Harrington.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, there's a reason why I don't have Bubba Chandler ranked where other people do. And that reason is Thomas Harrington, especially for redraft, because I am of the mind that Thomas Harrington is up before Bubba Chandler because number one, he has more innings at AAA. Number two, he's older. Number three, he's a super command guy, and that's the kind of guy who's just going to come and fit right into like the back end of the rotation, where the Pirates are going to need him. They're not going to need Bubba Chandler until the end of the season if they're like trying to make a playoff run. Then you bring Bubba Chandler up and let him spit fire. What you do right now, if you're the Pirates, is you slow play Bubba Chandler, just like they did with Skeens at the beginning of the year. Have him throw 1 inning, 2 innings, 3 innings, whatever, build up, so that you save those innings for the end of the season so that if they're actually going to be good, you can use those innings from a frontline starter, whereas Harrington can slide right in near the beginning of the season and just be like your innings dude, because that's the type of guy he is. He's a command innings guy, and like he's got like some of the best command out of any pitcher. Let me read his F scores that I have for him real quick. His F control is 112, which is insane, but his stuff is only 93. Right? Like my comp from is Nick Martinez. So I think like you got this like Nick Martinez, number 4, number 5 type, who's going to just like not have walks. His stuff's kind of like, yeah, but he's got a lot of pitches. So he'll make it work because he's a smart guy, right? 92, 93 mile per hour fastball. So that's Harrington. I like him a lot. And this is why I have Chandler dinged a little bit in my rankings, why I have him a little bit lower than other people, especially for redraft, because I think Harrington's first guy up. Thoughts?
Where do you have Chandler?
I've got Chandler real quick. I've got him in the 20s, but like other people have him like right with Painter and Job. Let's see. I've got him at 27. I've got Quinn Matthews ahead of
That's
Bubba
fine.
Chandler.
No, that's fine. That's fine. No, he's a total like he's a complete athlete from what I understand. It's exciting, but no, he's not where the other guys are yet, in my opinion. I think that's some really good insight there. Harrington seems very boring. Throwing like a 7K9 at AAA or something like that.
Yeah.
So I live right near Indianapolis, the AAA affiliate of the Pirates. They're still called the Indians. They never gave up. They never surrendered. And so I went there. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get Burrows. I'm going to get Harrington. I'm going to get Chandler. I'm going to get forget who else they would have had. Whatever. They have so many studs there right now. It's like you can forget. There's a pretty big guy I'm missing right there. And I got the one other guy. It was like a rotation or a bullpen game, I should say. Sorry, our bullpen game was just like this, journeyman. Anyway, I'm hoping to catch these guys. Hopefully they keep Chandler down so I can go get some live looks this year. It'll be a lot of fun. But Harrington, I think you nailed it. There's not too much point of going much further other than he's a boring guy, but that'll play great in deep leagues when you need those rotation spots filled with reliable innings eaters who hopefully aren't just going to blow up and give you, bombs every day.
Yep. 87. You have Johnny Farmello, whom I love. And I've got Farmello ranked at 49. And then I have Logan Henderson here, who I also love, but like I tried really hard this time, Doc, at like not being too high on pitchers. Welsh likes to make fun of me. He's like, dude, you always have so many catchers and so many pitchers in your top 100. He's like, what's wrong with you? Like, he's like, most people only need, like, you never draft catchers and hold a catcher in a dynasty league unless it's Samuel Basallo. So I'm like, yeah, I guess, I don't know. So I kind of worked hard on like trying to like not be so high on pitchers. But I think part of it too is like my visual bias, because I see so many good pitchers here in Florida that I'm like, okay, I saw that guy, so I want to like automatically rank them higher because I saw them. So I'm trying to like temper that a little bit. But Logan Henderson is definitely a dude I love. But before I talk more about them, talk about Johnny Farmello for a second.
So he's a guy. It's almost a hold spot for me because I think I had him around 40. Before the injury. It's just more of a situation where I don't think he's going to be back up to speed until maybe actually 2026. So it's like, what am I doing here? There's a bunch of studs who deserve to be ranked higher because they're going to be ascending this year when Farmello is going to take a while to get to where he needs to be. And he's still, and like, he has more development in front of him. Now, if you were to say, give me your list of guys who could be number 1 overall prospects, he'd be on that list. Like this guy's got serious ceiling. I just think like, that actually reflects where his market value should be and where it will be, because the further you get away from a guy like Andrew Painter, or Kyle Bradish, or Yuri Perez, when these guys first get hurt, everyone's like, okay, like you can actually sell them better right away than like a year later. Remember Robbie Ray right after he got hurt? you could, there's still value there. Now look at Robbie Ray now, even after he came back, it's like a shell of his value is there. Those are all very different pitchers, so I'm not trying to say they're all the same guy, but I'm just saying that for Farmelo's, people are going to forget about him the longer he's away, and maybe his legs are such a powerful part of his game. He's going to steal maybe 50 bases at his peak if it all works out. So it's just going to be a long road to recoveries. What that means, Logan Henderson, I like a lot, dude. I think that's kind of similar. Maybe it's because you don't want to be stuck with a Mike Zunino. I think I just rostered Mike Zunino too many times. So now I have this like PTSD from playing fantasy baseball for 20 years and having terrible catchers. So I just want to avoid it. Maybe there's some kind of bias or some kind of some trauma I have, but I seem to have a lot of catchers on my list, and I love pitchers. I'm a pitcher guy for sure. Logan Henderson, he's disgusting. He's 5'11", gross, ew. It's like a girl going for a date. Oh, 6 foot, great. 5'11", ew. Like we just see that 5 there. But hey, I love it. And again, I'm a big command guy, and he's got it. So Logan Henderson in the right organization with the Milwaukee Brewers. I got him a little bit higher than you, actually. I got him at 78 there. So, yeah, I think he's completely underrated. Go and buy him because he'll cost you barely anything compared to what he will probably produce.
Yeah, he was also a AAA. So I've got him as like middle of the season debut here in 2025. But you're gonna like this comp. I comped him to Spencer Strider Light because this dude.
What?
Listen, if you talk about Quadzilla, this guy is the same way. He pitches the same way. He's got these big quads, small dude, ramps it in there, 94, 96. Like I said, he's light. He's not going to throw 98 like Strider. And he's got the high-rise fastball. So that's where I get that comp from. But, yeah, control. Like, he 106 control in my model here. So, like, I love Logan Henderson. I think that he plays a decent role in the Brewers season this year. Like, I think that the Brewers are going to be better off. And I had this conversation with Welsh because he had Henderson down in like the 130 or something. And I had this conversation with him. I'm like, dude, don't you think that like Mizurowski is probably set for the pen? They play Mizurowski in the pen, and then that leaves that next spot open for Logan Henderson. DL Hall already got a shot. Like, are they going to give DL Hall another shot? I don't know. Aaron Ashby, are they going to give Aaron Ashby another shot? I don't know. Gasser's out for the whole year with TJ. So I think Henderson is going to be like that next guy that could pop in there for the Brewers. So,
he went through, I'm 100% agreeing with you. He went from not on my radar to mid 70s, this is a guy.
Yeah, for sure. 86. You have Gavin Cross. I have Dylan Beavers. Welsh and I talked about Cross a little bit last time, but I want to get your 2 cents here on Cross because you're even higher than I am.
Okay, so I'll try to be brief because I can accidentally go in depth on this guy. So first of all, top 10 pick, love that pedigree. That's just a start. Busts happen all the time, even at the number 1 spot. But there's a reason he was picked there. He's 6'1", 210. He got great build. He's actually pretty fast. He looks like he's full of muscle, and he is, but he's really fast. He steals a lot of bases. He had so he came on really hot in his little baby pro debut. What did he do? He did 293 batting average, 423 OBP, and a lot of nice power speed flashing. Then 2023 came along and tanked his entire value because this guy, he had injuries, and then he had this weird thing. He had this tick. He got bit by a tick. I'm freaking serious. This guy talking about rednecks. This guy's out in Kansas City, probably hanging out. No, he's from same area as like Evan Carter, actually, just Appalachia, Tennessee. And this guy got bit by a tick, and he basically look into it. Read an article about Gavin Cross. I'll go on forever. He basically got bit by a tick and got this Rocky Mountain fever, I think it was called. He got some crazy disease, and like it messed him up for the whole year. And everyone's just like, "I'm out. He sucks." I'm like, dude, his life is like ruined. He probably can't eat red meat now or something. Like it's what But then he came back this year. And it wasn't disease. It wasn't even mainstream. It was like weird tick disease, And so he gave us a 15-30 season last year at AA. Pretty much he was age for level. He was 23 years old. Next year he will be 24. It will be big. He needs to work on some of his, he can take a walk, but he does strike out a little too much. It's a really weird profile, to be honest, but there's enough there to excite me. The pedigree, the size, the speed. This is definitely a guy, like if everything works out, maybe I'm seeing a 20-30 home run stolen bases peak with like, maybe not peak, but I guess like a kind of a good season for him. I think he could pop a little more home runs than that, but 20-30 with 250 batting average, 330 OBP. That's fun. That's good.
Yeah.
And they have needs in the out. He could be up this year if he goes.
Kyle Isbell,
dude. If he came out scorching last year and he had like a month with like 7 home runs near the end, if he scorches to start the year, they might bring him up.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. So I've got Dylan Beavers here. Beavers I like better than Bradfield because he also has power. Like I said, I try to stay away from the rabbit guys. A really bad hit tool. Like, I'm not gonna lie, he's like Braden Taylor, like near Braden Taylor. Not as bad as Braden Taylor, but pretty close on the hit tool. But he's got nice power speed. He actually has good plate skills too. So almost like a 13% walk rate here. So like, I'm like, okay, he reminds me hitting of like Kyle Tucker, like just his stance. But like, I think profile wise, he's like Tommy Pham. Like, I think you could have like a Tommy Pham here, like 240 batting average, good OBP, like decent amount of power speed. Like maybe like in his peak, he gets like some 2020 seasons or something like that. But that's pretty good. Like, I think he's like, I think if the Orioles clear room, he's probably like one of the guys that gets traded, to be honest. Like, because he's not Kobe Mayo. Like, it's easier to trade someone like him. So I think if the Orioles did decide to trade and make some moves, like that's one of the guys that could move somewhere. And then like, oh, now he's starting for the White Sox or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So 85, you've got Chandler Simpson, another rabbity rabbit here. And then I've got Travis Sakura. So Chandler Simpson, dude, you and I were the Victor Scott people last year. And like, I
still am.
He's a Cardinal. I have to be, but I got burned so bad on that like all these rabbit guys now. I'm just like, no, I'm Simpson and Bradfield and Durbin and like all this the speedy guys that don't have really good EVs. I'm just like, I'm not in on them. I'm just not feeling it. I just got burned by Victor Scott. It makes me sad. So talk about Chandler Simpson.
So I'm going to do a brief touch on Beavers, very brief. Just say that it's like really boring, and I gotta hope that I was just looking into his profile on Fangraphs. I gotta hope this is like a very misleading 10 event sample. AAA. There's 10 events. He's got a Caleb Durbin-esque 83.9 average EV. In fact, 3 ticks lower max EV. Again, this is a very small sample size at AAA. If that's like what we're looking at, though, oof. Yeah, Dylan Beavers is a really weird profile because he's big. He's like 6'4", and but he just seems like he's fast and he's going to hit you maybe 12 home runs, or like, it's just a weird profile. So we'll see what happens with him. It was looking like it was going to happen. Now it's maybe not. Moving on to Chandler Simpson. I'm ready to knock him off my top 100, but he's so freaking crazy. Like, he's got that. He's like, what's this? This guy could easily, like, when I say easily, I don't have to throw that word around. He could easily do 60 stolen bases. I should say it's easy to see a way if he played every day that he gets that. Here's the problem. Tampa Bay Rays freak me out. Here's the other thing. I read that he's actually bad at defense. And I'm like, oh, it's all over. The dream's over, right? Like, I don't even know why I have him above Enrique Bradfield at this point, to be honest. That should probably be swapped. That should be swapped. So pretend
Vidal Brujan nightmares.
Yeah. So if you can't play defense and you can't hit, I think he hit literally 0 home runs or something like that. Like, this guy's a real rabbit, not like maybe we can see 10 one day. This is like a real rabbit, 0 home runs sort of deal, like Juan Pierre, but like, kind of, but less power than Juan Pierre. So I'm not very high on him. We got to talk about you have a serious, your next couple picks, man, next few guys, I should say. We got some major issues because we got to hurry up, but also we have to lecture you on Travis Sakura being 6'6", 240 with an electric splitter. Like, here's the thing. People were, I was listening to the Tool Shed the other day, and Crosschart's going off about Sakura is a stud. He can touch triple digits, and it's just a kid, and he's huge. And I'm thinking, no, it's the splitter. The splitter is what's really crazy. Yeah. And then Clegg comes in. He's like, the splitter, it's crazy. And I'm like, yes. And you also look, he's also got this slider. He's got 3 really good pitches. It's so exciting. Why is he so low?
Because he only played an A-ball. That's the only reason why.
That's fair.
Dude, I wanted him to go to high A. I'm like, why? I was like, look, this kid's 20. Why is he staying in A-ball? Why is he not going to high A? I guess maybe he was comfortable. Maybe they like the coaches there. I don't really know. His stats were insane. Over 20% swinging strike rate, 44% whiff rate or something like that. Like you said, 3+ pitches. The dude is awesome, but like, I want to see him play at higher levels, and all the guys that I have over him are all super close. Like, everyone who's ranked ahead of him at this point are guys, except for Noble Meyer. Everyone else that I have ranked ahead of him is someone that's probably going to debut this year. So like that's kind of why it's just like there's a matter of okay, you're off on proximity here. Literally the only guys that I have that will probably not debut that are in my top 100 are Sakura and Noble Meyer are like the only two out of my pitchers. So that's why. And I saw Noble Meyer. I didn't see Sakura in person. So obviously I've got to get that visual bias in there. Like I said, when I saw Noble Meyer, just 11 Ks of the Yankees, just straight fire, like 6 pitches or whatever, just blowing everyone away. So, but yeah, Sakura definitely has the upside. It's just, let's get him out of A-ball.
I mean, hey, dude, hey, listen, you want to leave me an opening and talk more about Sakura? You're crazy.
I know. Okay.
Yeah. I'll just say one thing. You know, if Sakura blows up high A just the way he was doing low A, he's actually a little bit older than Thomas. I will say one thing. Thomas White says, now you left it. I can't believe you left this open for me. Thomas White is getting forgotten about by the industry, but Sakura is like not. You know, Sakura is being launched as the top guy, and I love Sakura. He was my guy. But it's very funny that exactly what you're saying. I do want to see him beyond low A. It's like Thomas White did this at high A, and he'll probably start next year at double A, and he's a little bit younger. So that's the one caveat. But you got to go buy in now. I think it's too late to buy in, personally.
Yeah, it probably is. Or what you do is you wait for him to get blown up for a game and then you buy him. Just let him go up to high A or double A or whatever at the end of the season. Hopefully he gets blown up for a start and then you can buy. 80, sorry, Travis, if that happens. I didn't mean to jinx you. 84, Trey Morgan for you, Connor Griffin for me. Real quick, my thoughts on Trey Morgan. I have him outside of my top 150 just because I think I don't like first baseman. I just really don't like first baseman prospects because they get blocked so easily. Like they already have Xavier Isaac, and I think Isaac is ahead of Morgan on their kind of like depth chart or whatever. So like I don't know. It's just rough for me with first baseman. I've got Isaac like right ahead here in the ranking too, and I've got Connor Griffin here. And I know you're going to want to talk about Connor Griffin, so I'll let you talk about Connor Griffin. I know he changed the swing, he added muscle. Like it's just for me, high schoolers. It's hard for me to bump them up higher than this because I don't have the data. Like, how can I possibly look at Connor Griffin and bump him ahead of Moises Ballesteros, bombs away Ballesteros, even though Connor Griffin is way more projectable and has a way higher upside? It's just, look, Ballesteros has done it as a 20-year-old catcher at AAA. And it's just like, I just have to give him the credit because he's already done it in the minors where these other guys haven't. And that's just kind of like my cutoff. Like, I never rank high school guys or like DSL guys like higher than like 70, like 75 is like the cutoff for like those types of players. Like I will not rank them in there. So like, it's just the way that I do my rankings. It's not anything against the player specifically, but it's just like, I like to give credit to some of the guys that have like actually done it at the level and have proven that they can do it in the minors.
It's so funny you say that because like you're a unicorn in the industry based on that. And I'm actually kind of similar, but only with DSL because DSL, this is like really bad competition, not really good scouting. The developments, we just don't. There's lies going on. We don't know how old people are half the time. It's like, I'm pretty serious, you know. Like,
Albert
it's like a concern. even if it's not like them, and maybe it's their teammates. Who knows, right? It's just
I don't even know what their names are, dude. Fausto Carmona, like we don't even know their names.
You see the footage. You see the footage on some of this tape, and it's like 540p in the middle of a jungle, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on, bro. Like, and when I say that, it's like, of course, I'm not like knocking the jungle, but you actually also, I'm just thinking this on the fly. What about the humidity? What's that doing? Like, I don't even know. Like for the hitting, like that could help, or maybe it's whatever, right? Maybe it hurts. I don't know. It depends. But I have a very hard time. That's why I'm behind on someone else. A couple of guys we'll end up talking about here. But DSL, I do have a harder time when the DSL studs come over and start showing the same level of hype in US Pro Ball. I'm usually too late to the punch, but that's where I'll give it. Now with the US Prep guys, that's different because there's so many more scouts that I trust. There's so many more eyes on them. The development's better, so they're not going to typically take as long. And so a guy like Connor Griffin, 6'4", I think he looks way thicker now. Like this is a guy, he's probably gonna end up like 6'4", 210, 220, something like that. And he's still, again, like I think it was unironically not making up a number. I think it was like 89 bases. in 30 games. I don't know the game number, but it was something low. So, and then someone asked him, "Did you steal a base every time you were on base? Is that how that number exists?" And he said, "Yeah, pretty much." And so, yeah, he's just he's working on his swing, which is like, we don't actually know if it's a bad hit tool. I think his hit tool on MLB Pipeline is 50 or something like that, which is fine for a guy with every other tool. So
yeah, he reminds me of his swing reminds me of Tatis, dude. Like that's when I watch him swing, he just reminds me of Tatis. But yeah,
this is, I think, again, if he was in a better organization than the Pirates, it's going to cost you way more. I've seen him go at bargains, like past pick 10 of an FYPD. He's my number 5. Sasaki, Bazana, Kurtz, Weatherholt, Griffin. That's it, man. I think that's where he's at, and I think it's going to be crazy. Just very briefly touching on Trey Morgan, is he's going to have a long MLB career. He's a Gold Glover at first, or he's like fine in the outfield. He might play at the outfield. He's going to be weird. He's got a really good hit tool, which that's why I say he's going to. If you've got the defense and you're going to be hitting like he does, like he'll probably accidentally. Maybe he can learn how to pull if he wants to a few out of the park, get to 10 or something like that. But he's going to be a really weird fantasy asset. I can't even think of the comp right now. Someone give a good comp once, but it's like literally he could hit 320 FP. He could be like a Luis Arias type, I guess. Yeah.
Brendan Donovan.
No. He's got an elite hit tool. That's why I don't want to have him here at all in my top 100. Yeah. He's so good his hit tool, so good.
Yeah, I agree. He's got a good hit tool. Just bored. Like, who wants like 13 homers from a first baseman? You know what I mean? So 83, Jimmy Crooks, my boy, Cardinals guy. I have him at like 140. I can't believe you're so much higher on him than me, because I thought I was like the high guy on him. Real quick, I think like here's my comp. I put a shorter Brian McCann light as a comp. Great hit tool, good power. The Cardinals have so many catchers too. Like, I don't know what they're going to do with all these guys. Like, they're going to just have I joked with Welsh. I was like, they're just going to have a whole team full of catchers. Like, they're going to have to move Herrera off catchers, and they'll have Contreras at first. Herrera's going to be like in the outfield. It's going to be like all catchers. It'll be like the Royals, like the Missouri team's just like all catchers at every position. Like, what's going on here? So, but I like Jimmy Crooks a lot. I can't believe you have him so high though. So explain this one to me. Make me get excited here as a Cardinals fan.
Yeah. He actually, I overlooked him entirely, and then I just started digging into him more and more because the name is amazing, right? And then I just saw an interview with him. I'm like, and I heard that he's got no batting gloves again. And I'm like, okay, Cardinals, the Cardinal way is coming back. It's coming back. These are the guys I want. Oh yeah, dude, such a grinder. No, but then of course that gets me interested. But really, I'm not. Listen, guys, I'm gonna put my rankings out there. I actually do value what people. I want people to respect what I'm putting out there, not for me, but because I'm helping you. If I'm not helping you, don't listen to me, right? I'm not worth you. I'm just trying to get my own attention. I'm just trying to get my own clicks, blah, blah, blah. I'm just wasting my own life, apparently. I have kids. So it's like, if I'm doing this, let's do it right. And I think Jimmy Crooks, he seems like he's got, like, he's that kind of guy who's like, he shouldn't be as good as he is kind of thing. He's got a really annoyingly like good hit tool, annoyingly knows how to get on base. He's got a great defensive abilities from what I understand. It's always like the tricky thing to really read it. You got to dig into that a little bit with catchers. So actually the way I'm reading his profile and just his intangibles, the pitchers all really love him. I'm like, dude, that's the guy. Ivan Herrera is going to have a great year, I think. I think Wilson Contreras does great and then gets traded. Sorry. It's like, I don't really see him with the way they're going.
He doesn't want to, dude. He has a no trade. They won't let him. Like, he won't let them.
We'll see. But
a whole field of catchers, Royals and Cardinals, all catchers all the way around the diamond.
We'll friggin' see. What that means is the death knell for Lucan Baker. He needs to go because I feel bad for that guy. That guy's a stud, but he's not going to play here. So with Pedro Pajes, forget about him. He's defense only. Ivan Herrera will probably turn if they can get rid of. I don't want to get rid of. If you can move Wilson Contreras, he becomes the new Wilson Contreras. Probably. I do see Jimmy Crooks as the starting catcher of the Cardinals' future. I think he's going to be a stud again. That's a 65, maybe 70 grade name.
Yeah, 29 doubles for Jimmy Crooks in 115 games. So you pace that out with some of these other guys. That's like Aiden Smith had 33 doubles, but he played 140 games or whatever. So, he's got double. It's pretty sick for a catcher right there. Next, we have Bryce Rayner. who I have ranked ahead of Connor Griffin. We talked about that on the Dynasty Dingers pod. So if you want to listen to more about that, we'll just skip that for now. You can listen to the Dynasty Dingers FYPD draft pod that we were on. So I'm gonna pump your pod here a little bit.
I love that, and I don't know if you know this, but that actually performed really well. I think that's our best performing episode of all time, all because of Fantasy Aceball's Tim Kanak.
That's right, baby. 82. We got Jackson Ferris here and Casey Hunt, 2 pitchers. Dude, Jackson Ferris, I can't really get on. I've got him at 175. He's got an awesome name, by the way. They talk about 80 great name. That's an awesome name. But there are so many pitchers I like better than him that I've got him at 175 or something like that. Casey Hunt. This is a guy that nobody is in on. I love Casey Hunt. If I can find him real quick in my little description here. Actually, you go ahead and talk about Jackson Ferris while I'm finding Casey Hunt in my thing.
I don't want to embarrass you, but I got Casey Hunt almost 30 spots higher than you. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't want to embarrass you, but these are the same guy to me, almost. Obviously, I think Ferris is not as good, but I look at those numbers as one of these Logan Henderson types. I'm looking at him and I'm like, he's just doing it and he's in a great organization. The problem being, where does he play? And that's probably part of your valuation. But at the end of the day, Dodgers make trades. He'll probably get shipped somewhere, or there'll be injuries, and or Bobby Miller will keep sucking, or whatever's going to happen, and he'll make his way in there. You can never have enough pitchers. So Jackson Ferris, I look at his profile. I don't see anything he does wrong. So I'd looked at for any critiques you have, trying to talk me down from him. Casey Hunt is this guy. He's in the great organization, Brewers. I think he actually used to be a 2-way guy. Last year he was eligible as a shortstop or something like that. And so he's someone who's figuring it out. I believe without looking at anything, he's got a really solid slider, a really good one. And so he's someone who I'm getting everywhere I want for the most part.
So Casey Hunt he started the year as a reliever, and he actually got better when he was a starter. So when he was a reliever, his numbers were worse, which is weird. But as a starter in 73 innings, he had 90 Ks, a 185 ERA, 33.4 CSW, 17.3 swing strike rate, and he has 5 pitches. He's got a 93 to 94 mile per hour fastball, 86 mile per hour hard slider, and an 80 mile per hour 12-6 curve that is pretty disgusting. He throws it hard enough that it's not super as loop, even though it's a 12-6, it's not a super loopy like the white floaty pitch that I mentioned earlier. And his college coaches, I think I heard something. I can't remember where I read or heard this, but apparently the Brewers draft a ton of Mississippi State guys. He came from Mississippi State. I guess they've got a connection, but his coaches at Mississippi State, I was reading, compared him to Trevor Bauer. Now, Trevor Bauer's an asshole, but the dude is a good pitcher. No one can say anything that he was not a good pitcher. A guy made a lot of money. So
he's very politically correct.
If you can get a good country boy version of Trevor Bauer throwing and not beating the crap out of women when he's banging them or whatever, then hopefully we got a good pitcher here. So that's my 2 cents on Casey Hunt there. 81, you've got Bryce Rayner. We just talked about Rayner, and then I've got Harry Ford. You got anything on Harry Ford?
I'll just without spending 5 seconds on Rayner, I think you're making a terrible mistake having him even if it's one slot higher than Griffin, but we won't get into it too much. I got my first share of Rayner. He just seems like an X factor in an ascending organization, which now I'm hyping him now. I'm just kind of condemning you for, but the Tigers are going to be as what you might call a destination offense for fantasy. People are going to want a slice of the Detroit Tigers offense soon enough. So Harry Ford, goodness gracious, the wheels are kind of falling off a little bit for me. He needs to maybe get off a catcher. I'm not saying he's bad at catcher, but just for a fantasy standpoint. Yeah, so maybe a Tamar Johnson situation again. It's one of those weird guys. You're cool, 400 OBP. Oh, 200 hit batting average. Can you just maybe meet in the middle, please? I'd love it. And is the power going to play at all in Seattle? Can you get traded? He's just weird. He fell out of my top 100, but he's not worthless. There's time, and he's British, so that's kind of fun.
Yeah, super weird. I had him in 30 something or whatever at this time last year, and the reason that he's still in my top 100 is almost just because I'm I don't want to ding him too much because he was still pretty young. So it's the dude was still 21 last year. He still has really good plate skills. He still has a lot of speed. 35 steals for a catcher is insane, and 35 extra base hits. So it's not like there's like zero power there. He had 28 doubles last year, but even though there was like no home run power. So it's like I don't know what he's gonna turn into. Like he had like a Dale Amador season, kind of. Like they both had this just a weird off season. And like, I don't know. I don't want to just completely write him off. So I guess that's why he's here. Because I think there still is upside. And even if he does become like an outfielder or something, like, good plate skills and, nice wheels can actually play up.
Yeah.
So I'll keep him around for now. We'll see how he performs. Rayner, by the way, everyone was comping Rayner to Corey Seager. And I just like don't really see it. I see
it's because it's already cut you up, but
lefty shortstop is Corey. Every lefty shortstop's Corey Seager.
No,
big lefty shortstop.
Yeah, exactly. Big. Every lefty, every 6'3", 6'4" shortstop I see on Pipeline who's lefty is Corey Seager. It's driving me crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. No, like I look at this guy and I'm like, no, this is more like because he's a really good defensively. He's a pitcher too in high school. Like I see like a Carson Williams, just like a really athletic dude that just needs to get the hit tool rolling, like power, speed. Like he's going to be good defensively. I just see a super athlete here who needs to like make sure that hit tool gets rolling, and that's what I think about Rayner. 80 here, dude. We have to talk about this. Why do you hate Sebastian Walcott? You have Sebastian Walcott at number 80. What?
So I'm a middle of like, dude, I got weirded out whenever people seem to like. I have like some pretty bold ranks, but the Walcott thing was basically the only thing people were getting after me about. Like what? And I didn't even realize what everyone else was doing, right? Which is good, I guess, right? Like if I'm not thinking about other people, I'm just like I'm going to do the ranks the way I see them. James Anderson, respect him. RotoWire, #1 overall prospect. He has as Sebastian Walcott. Guys, I like the Cardinals, the Royals, the Rangers. I'm Indiana. I'm kind of homeless as a like I kind of like the Tigers too. Anyone who's kind of Reds a little bit, I guess. Anyone who's close to me, Pirates even if they got the point being, I like the Rangers. I was rooting for them big time with their championship run. I would love. It's not like an anti-Walcott thing. I'm just like looking over here. Okay, we just assumed that he completely fixed his terrible contact skills. Like I guess I'm not. It's kind of what we've been talking about all day, right? I will say this: when I made the ranks, I did not realize he was only 18 still. How is he still 18? I feel like he's been in our ranks for like 3 years now or something like that. But of course, the ceiling is
DeVries.
Yeah. If we want to talk about DeVries to me has flashed a little bit more faster, and so he's much higher for me. But I'm just not 100% sold on the hit tool yet, and it's kind of what we've been talking about.
I'm gonna sell you. During the All-Star game, by the way. He scored the most points during that like little thing, and he was hitting it wherever he wanted to hit it. So anyway, 18-year-old, high A and double A last year.
Yeah.
He started the year so crappy, but second half of the season, right after he won that skills competition, that's what set him on, dude. He had that skills competition and he won that thing. And then he comes in second half, 293, 350, 496 slash line with 32 extra base hits. And 19 steals in 58 games in the second half. 32 extra base hits in 58 games. That's insane. And right when he wins that skills competition, I'm telling you, it was like it snapped something in him. It's like, remember when Juan Soto was having that really crappy year and then he won the home run derby? And then all of a sudden, the second half, he just started lighting it up. That's exactly what happened with Walcott. I feel like that when he won that skills competition, he demolished in that thing. It just set something in him that built to that confidence to a certain level because he was the youngest guy in there by far. And it built that confidence up and just boom, took off after that. I've got him at number 9. I love Walcott, man. I love it.
It's crazy. I mean, but you're breaking your rules. And of course he's at double A now for 5 games, but you're kind of breaking your rule with like he hasn't fully shown it yet. But at 18 years old, hey, I'm not going to sit here and deny the immense upside. If this was like Johnny Formello, this is the list of guys who could be #1 overall prospects, he'd be on it. I'm just like I'm predicting this. I'm predicting a major slump to start the year. And then I think he'll figure it out. And I think it's just going to be like a 2 to 3 year operation here. Whereas I think a lot of people are thinking he's going to go like a straight shot crushing it all the way and be in the bigs by the end of next year or maybe 2026. I think he's more of a 27, 28 guy. But again, I missed on Ellie De La Cruz. Same kind of deal. I get nervous with these types where I'm like, I see the hype, but you're freaking me out because you're hyping him a bit too much. Of course,
I like him, dude.
we also
like him over
we also
O'Donnell.
okay, interesting. We also saw Elijah Green, similar. And these guys have these crazy tools, right? And then they come in and a lot of them don't work out. And Connor Griffin could be a guy that doesn't work out. We'll see. And by the way, Connor Griffin, when I have him like 30th overall, if he starts doing Walcott things, he's plummeting. So I'm fair.
Yeah, Elijah Green was just like right when he walked into the minors,
Yeah, it's not a fair comp.
No, Walcott was fire. Just look up his second half numbers. I'm telling you, he built confidence in that thing and then just was insane. So 80, I've got a Dale Amador here. I'm so down on him. I had him in like the 30s and 20s before because I thought there was going to be some power and speed there, but I think now it's just a hit tool. Like I think like your best case scenario is like a bad Luis Arias. Talking about Luis Arias, he's like a worse version of Luis Arias. That's like your best hope with Amador. He's in Colorado, so that's going to help play him up a little bit. Maybe he gets some, a decent amount of doubles.
He can steal bases.
Colorado, he can steal some bags, but like I don't think there's really any power in there. Like 8 to 10 homers or something like that. Maybe like 8 to 12, I guess. I don't know. Like I think he's like going to be like DJ LeMahieu with a little bit of steals or something like that. Like basically, he's going to be like Rockies LeMahieu, not Yankees LeMahieu with 20 bombs or whatever, but he's going to be Rockies LeMahieu with some steals.
That's a great comp.
Yeah,
I think he can get up to 20 steals though. So
it's something. He could get to 20.
So he's not on my top 100.
79. You've got Sal Stewart. I've got Xavier Isaac. 2 first base. I think Stewart's good. Well, I guess Stewart, he could play second or third because they've got Collier. But I don't know. I saw Stewart live, and when I saw Stewart live, I saw him with Carlos Jorge and Cam Collier all in the same lineup. And that was when everyone was all about Carlos Jorge. Everyone thought he was like the second coming. And then Cam Collier. And then nobody even knew who Sal Stewart was. And I saw him and I was like, this is the best player on the field. When I saw them, I was like, this is the best guy. And his hit tool is legit. But again, I think he's kind of boring. He's like Trey Morgan. So I like don't want to rank him too high because I got him at like 130 or something like that. But I'm like, I can't rank him higher because I just think he's like a 280 hitter who's going to hit 20 homers. And like, that's it. It's like, oh, okay. He's gonna be a major leaguer, right? He's gonna be good, but he's not gonna like, I don't think there's superstar potential there. And like, I'd rather bump guys who I think have like high upside potential. Like for instance, like higher up, I've got Tyler Black that we're going to talk about in a second. Tyler Black, he could just be nothing, right? Like he could completely dud it out. But like he's shown that he has really good plate skills and he's got really good speed. So he could make like that could be a fantasy thing, right? Like, but like 280 and 20 homers, unless you're in a deep league, like do you really ask for that? You're just like, okay, this is a good guy for when someone gets hurt. I'll plug him in. You know what I mean? Like Luke Raley is the guy that I picked up in a bunch of 12-team leagues last year. It's like, okay, Luke Raley, my number one waiver guy. It's like, okay, Sal Stewart could be my Luke Raley, I guess. But I've got Xavier Isaac here in this ranking. Isaac had a terrible second half, really great first half. There's power and speed in there. He is way more volatile than Sal Stewart. His hit tool sucks compared to Sal Stewart's, but he has way more power speed upside. I just find him a little more exciting from a fantasy perspective. So if I'm in a more shallow league, I think I'm going Isaac just because I'm in a more shallow league and he has higher upside. But if I'm in like a 40 team, if I'm in an odd new 40-man roster, 16-team league, Sal Stewart's a good guy because he's like destined to be like a points. Like he's going to get you points. So if you're in a points league, like I'm going Sal Stewart. If you're in a roto league, I'm probably picking Isaac just for the power speed upside.
So let me sell you we call this in the film biz, an elevator pitch, very fast. I'm going to sell you on Sal Stewart. Alec Burleson at second and third base with better OBP.
And faster. Alec Burleson is so slow, dude.
Yeah. So like what, like 20 home runs, 10 stolen bases, 280 average, and a 340 OBP. That's really cool at second and third base. It's not exciting. It's fine. And he's young. He's younger than we think he is, right? He just turned 21. So he played as a 20-year-old last year at high A, which doesn't sound like it's young for the level, but it kind of is. It's a little young. So he's like, and they're taking exactly the amount of time they probably should with him. Like it seems like he's been around too long. So there's oddly like this, like, yeah, again, very boring feel to him, but 80 grade name, call him the Godfather. That's what I'm going to try to push that. If he becomes something, I'm going to start calling him that. I'm going to get everyone talking about him as the Godfather. So you heard it here first on the Fantasy Aceball podcast. And then, so I would say Xavier Isaac. I kind of view him as a similar light of, frankly, as Walcott, right? And so I just see it's like, oh my gosh, so much upside here. I'm just not sure how it's going to work out. And Walcott, how old is? I want to see how old Isaac is because I actually don't know right now. He seems like
he's going to be 21. He was 20 last year and hit double A.
Yeah.
And so he's terrible. He was terrible in double A. He was pretty. He like lit up high A, but he was terrible in double A.
He feels like a guy who's 22, but he played as a 20 season there. So he was super young. He actually had a decent OBP in double A for a young guy. As a guy, I think I have him ranked either in the 50s or the 60s, which is pretty. I think I've lost my camera here, but that's okay.
You're still here, yeah.
Okay, there we go.
You're still here though.
All right, I'm a little guy. If you want to make me big guy again, like I have a little camera, little face here. If you want me to get big face, that's fine. If not, it's okay. I'll be little face. I guess
there we go.
Okay, so folks, if you're still here, then an hour and 45 minutes, you just got a little bit of levity. Anyway, so Xavier Isaac, you can hear it in my voice. I'm not excited, but I have him much higher than this. This is out of respect. I'm not, but I do look at these contact skills and I wonder, who are you? Are you, especially with the Rays? Are you just like this guy? Are you Hunter Renfroe? Like, who are you? With speed? I don't know.
I've got him as Vinny Pasquantino with speed is my comp.
No, Vinny's awesome. Don't talk. Let's
Vinny
not talk.
P's got a better hit tool for sure. So we already talked 78. Logan is your Logan Henderson. We already talked about him. I've got Carter Jensen. We already kind of mentioned him. I think Carter Jensen is kind of like basically gonna be in this like Dalton Varsho type role where he'll probably hit the outfield for the Royals. I know you mentioned you think that Mitchell would be the guy to move, but I think Mitchell's a better defender.
Mitchell's better. I think Jensen's fine defender from what I understand, and then Mitchell's more athletic, so it makes more sense if they're both like equal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. So Carter Jensen though, 46 extra base hits, 18 bombs, 17 steals last year. Hit tool is kind of meh, but like there's a lot here. Like I said, kind of like a Dalton Varsho type profile. 85 F contact. So again, like pretty bad contact tools, but he still has time to develop. And then 77, you have Cole Drake. I have Tyler Black. We already touched on Black. Don't really need to get into him. Cole Drake, though, 77. I've got him in around like the same area I have Jackson Ferris in like the 170s. He was like just missed my top 150. He had great stats. But again, this is another one of these dudes who is like age to level wise, kind of like older than the level in my mind, if I'm remembering correctly. What is he, like 24 or something like that? Yeah, he's 24. Yeah. So 24 now. So he was lighting up mostly like A-ball and high A as a 23-year-old last year, which a lot of these college guys did. Quinn Matthews did the same thing. But then when he hit the double A, he kind of staggered a little bit at double A. So like that's kind of what stopped me from like putting him in my top 150 is just like he was doing really well age to level wise. And then when he got to double A, which is like more like his speed, right? For a 23-year-old, I think double A average age is 23, 24. He stumbled a little bit in 5 starts. So what do you think about Drake?
Yeah, so just briefly touching on Jensen, I just want to like very briefly. He had terrible contact skills, like literally, it was like 50% contact in 2021. And then he went way up to 76 and low A, and then he's been hanging out between 73 and that. Which is fine when you got like good power and good speed. So it'll be interesting. I'm interested to see how he develops from here. It was a big year. He was basically nobody. Now he's somebody. So we'll pay attention. Tyler Black needs a position. I'm super concerned about his fantasy future because, guys, defense does matter. Because if you can't play anything and you don't have premium power, I don't know if you have an MLB future. And I feel bad about that. Like every time I talk about Tyler Black, it's like I feel like a dread in my soul. I'm like, I'm talking about a guy. Like I keep condemning his career. Please prove me wrong, brother. And then Cole Drake. So this is a guy. We talked when we had Eric Cross on. I was talking about him. I remember looking up where he went to school. It was Russellville, Arkansas, which is where I had to replace a flat tire. I was in the Ozarks in the middle of nowhere, and I got a spare on there, and I drove downhill to Russellville. and I had to wait like 4 hours at the Walmart for them to fix my tire. It sucked. But
come on, that was that the original Walmart? Isn't Walmart from Arkansas? So like
it had to be one of the first
yeah.
like 3. It wasn't too far from.
Come on,
So
Walmart, get your service act together. No wonder why Costco makes more money than you.
it was brutal, but yeah, I like that. Yeah, anyway, but this is a kid who he went to some smaller schools. So he's 6'5", 220. I love that kind of build. That's like your prototype. He's got a 4-pitch mix with solid command. And what am I saying here? Yeah, he shaved 25 pounds off his frame. Basically, he's been making some movements, and some scouts I trust are getting in on his stuff. They're buying his stuff. I know he did kind of take a little step back at AA, but so which is why I'm pumping the brakes here. Otherwise, I'd have him up there with Casey Hunt, because they kind of did the same thing, except Hunt was more consistent upon his promotions and he's a little younger. So yeah, I think he's younger. It might be this. I feel like it's a similar deal. But regardless, Cole Drake is someone nobody's talking about. You can get him anywhere. This guy's got. Go look into him. He's got serious upside. Like, this is like a Zebby Matthews maybe situation with, I think, from what I'm reading, from what I'm seeing, possibly better stuff. The Matthews I love. He needs to develop a proper out pitch. Cole Drake, similar kind of guy, older, really good frame, should be a really solid starter. If guys like Drake and Zebby Matthews don't get their out pitch, though, they're like Kyle Gibson. So they'll have a really cool, which is crazy. Like, that's like a great career. You did it. You're a 15-year MLB regular that we don't want to touch in fantasy. So hopefully they can ascend beyond then. There's still time.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we got to finish this before 2 hours. So here we go. But this one's going to take some time here. We got to digest this one. 76. You have Jesus Mate here. I have Moises Ballesteros. We're going to end on Mate. So we're going to talk about Ballesteros first. And I put a green arrow here because I am with you on Mate, dude. I got Mate at 63. So I'm like a little bit higher than you. But Welsh and I even talked about this in the last pod. I was like, dude, who was it? There was, I can't think of it. You're going to have to listen to it now. Listen to the last pod. But there was another DSL dude. Dodgers. I'm just a mind fart, but I was like, how come Emil Morales? I'm like, how come everybody hates Emil Morales and everybody loves Jesus Mate when they basically did the same thing in the DSL last year? And then he's like, I'm right there with you, bro. But anyway, Mate, yeah, the top 10 prospect. Come on, the guy's only playing the DSL. But Ballesteros, I respect, like you said, I respect everything he did. Great stats. But the dude has a terrible body. I cannot look at him and not think of Pablo Sandoval or Alejandro Kirk. And I'm just like, okay, those guys are all right. Panda Bear had a couple of good years. So like Sandoval, I don't know. He also is really good in the fall league too. So it's like everything he does, he's like putting up good stats, and he's 20 years old doing this in AAA, AA, fall league, 44 extra base hits, 19 bombs. And then
you call him Sandoval?
I said his comp. He reminds me of Pablo Sandoval.
Okay, thank God. I thought I was just like literally. I'm just trying to dig through to see where I had him. I'm really bad at multitasking, and I was in the middle of thinking. I was just thinking the words Sandoval. He's Pablo Sandoval, and then I hear you say it. I'm like, bro, are you calling him Pablo Sandoval, or what's going on here?
That's my comp for him. Is Pablo?
That's Sandoval. My comp. That's my comp.
The dude has a terrible body, but he puts up good stats, so respect. Yeah, I got to put him at 76. But Jesus Mate here, look, I get all the hype, but he's only done it in the DSL. And how many guys have insane seasons in the DSL and then they just suck after? Like, they can't do anything complex or A-ball. Like, I have this concern. We didn't see him at higher levels. DSL, you're playing the mountains. It's like, come on, like, what are you doing? You're playing against, you're not playing against high school pitching even. So, like, American high school pitching. So it's like, come, let's see what he can do against respectable competition before we just blow this guy up as a top 10 prospect. I understand that like the power numbers are legit. The EVs, like all the underlying data is insane. 28 stolen bases, 6 bombs, 51 games, is like 3, 4, 5 slash, more walks in case. I get it. That's all beautiful. But it's, switch hitter too. So like, I love it, but let's see this at, other levels before we bump him as like, the next Ellie or whatever people are calling him, So that's my thoughts on him.
Yeah, so by Asteris, I have him as my 45th non-debuted guy over here. It's again, if he's Pablo Sandoval though, like that's the thing. Like, at what point do we, with all the busts, like there's going to be, and the guys, 44 guys ahead of him, some guys are basically not going to have really good careers. Like if we can have a Pablo Sandoval, it's like that's a career. That's really nice little weird career, and so that's fine. And so I don't know if he'll get above that, like top 40 for me, but like it's good. And so but now getting to the juicy part, Jesus Made. Yeah, I certainly feel pressure to like have him ranked higher, and I do have him above Walcott, which is kind of funny, I guess. But I'm going off of trusted scouts here. I think I'm being pretty reasonable. He's never played over here, and my rule with DSL guys is don't trust DSL. I'm not really looking at the data, to be honest. I'm just going off of really respected scouts saying that his underlying numbers and the way and just everything they're seeing from him is freakish and special. So yeah, it's probably gonna look stupid. And if you want him, you do not have him. If you want him, do not look at my rankings. Like 76. It's like you're not gonna get him. He's not gonna be there. So I got him actually last year in a league where you could just pick up random prospects. It was kind of funny. It was FAAB Fab bids every week. It was prospects only league. It's a really freaky and stupid, super nerdy, deep, like 25 team league. And I think I got him by one FAAB dollar over Brad Lord. Some other guy bid on Brad. No. So I had put a bid in for like Brad Lord for like $1, something weird. And the guy who like missed me by $1, I think, had Brad Lord and got him instead. Who was like really hot for a second and then went away. This pitcher for the Nationals, nobody wants now. And then and now I had to settle for Jesus Made. So that's the one share I have of him. Yeah, it's the one share I have of him, which is pretty cool. So we'll ride that one out. But yeah, guys, I'm not sitting here saying he's going to be a dud. I'm just like, someone else will reap those rewards. Listen, and I'm gonna miss out on, maybe I'll miss out on the Ellies. Maybe I'll miss out on whatever if Walcott's a stud. That's okay. I'm willing to do that because I win fantasy leagues. Like I'll get my safer guys who will with some solid upside. Like I said, my rationale is there. And yeah, so again, it's kind of funny. I think you and I are pretty similar with ranking prospects, but some people are gonna listen to this and they're gonna hopefully absorb our rationale and consider that, because for every Ellie, for every, like, we don't even know if Made or Walcott are going to work out. For all these explosive types that you want, there's these there's just a bunch of, okay, I'll say this. I'm going to pause and stop and say it better. For every LD, there's an Elijah Green.
Boom.
There's actually 10 Elijah Greens.
10, yeah, that's more accurate. 10 Elijah Greens. I agree, man. DSL is just so tough. Like, get him to complex, get him to A-ball. If he is doing what he's doing in the DSL and A-ball, then we can talk, right? That's when I started looking at Leah Dallas, and I'm like, okay, this guy's doing it. Where we see it right now. Then we can talk. Because, like, for instance, Cespedes did it in complex and did it in A-ball at higher levels. So then why? And look, I still put Made ahead of Cespedes, but I'm just saying, like, there's a certain level where you don't push someone that far ahead when you don't have, like, you only have part of the story. You don't have the whole story here. You're relying on other people, and you're not making the decision based on your own eyes or your own data source or whatever. Like, I've got algorithms for my F scores, so I can't put it. I'm not putting in DSL algorithm, like, so, like, I need something substantial here to compute. So anyway, that's the podcast. Doc, what do you got going on? You got to pump something here.
Okay, Dynasty Dingers, the greatest podcast of all time. It's got guys like me, Matt Morris from Scout the Stat Line. We have Ross Jensen from Scout the Stat Line. Oh, you don't like Scout the Stat Line? Doesn't matter. We got Eric Cross on there, Chris Clegg. Oh, and this one guy, Tim Kanak. He's been on there a couple times. Was that your first time? That was your first time.
Yeah, first time, yeah.
We're bringing the 2-hour energy. Anyone who's like, maybe I'm going to stop listening now. I got to keep your attention. And so, I got some people, lined up for some more guest spots. We'll be bringing Tim back for sure. Because, again, dude, you were part of our greatest episode so far, FYPD mock. If you want an FYPD primer, like, just ignore everyone else's thoughts and only listen to mine. But, who knows? Who knows?
Especially about Connor Griffin.
Especially about Connor Griffin. We'll see. Connor Griffin's, this is a true story. Connor Griffin's dad likes all my tweets about Connor Griffin now. We're following each other now.
Your buds.
Yeah. It breaks my heart because
You're getting Pirate season tickets.
Well, I think they're trying to give those away, so not a huge standard.
Oops. All right. You got anything else? What else?
Okay. So at Doc Holiday Dyna, if you've never heard of me, my name, you call me Doc Eisenhauer, call me a jerk, call me the greatest guru of all time. I'm dropping an FYPD primer, little thread on X tomorrow. That's going to be Monday, February something, 10th or 11th, probably the 10th, I guess. Super Bowl sucked, by the way. It's 14-40. I'm seeing over here. Dude, this is the real action. So yeah, you can follow me on. I'm pretty much just on X, folks. On YouTube, look at Scout the Stat Line. You can look at other platforms, but that's basically what we're doing. YouTube, Spotify is Dynasty Dingers, and then X. You can follow Scout the Stat Line, Dynasty Dingers. I love that. Tim put on a great show here today, and he always does. And I'm going to try to whoop him in our Autonomy League this year. I made some cool moves. Maybe we'll talk some more off the air about them. But yeah, had a great time here, brother. I appreciate everything.
Oh yeah, get ready for the draft. Draft coming up. What, on the 27th? We still got a couple weeks here. We gotta wait. Come on, more. We need more drafts. I just did a slow draft, an on-new slow draft on Couch Managers. That was fun. You can actually follow some of the picks. I posted all my picks on Twitter, so you can actually go through the rationale of a startup where you need 40 guys. Startup Dynasty League 16 team. So anyway, Fantasy Aceball podcast, the Tim Kanak, if you want to watch on YouTube, and Fantasy Pros for all the writing and X. At Fantasy Aceball, at Doc Holiday Dyna. Peace out, everybody. See you next time.